Welcome, everybody, to another episode of That Scuffed Up, episode 19, coming right at you here today. It is a pretty breezy night here in Southern California, and we got a very special guest here with us, Dustin Staggs of the SoCal Wiffleball League, commissioner, and now fellow teammate on the LA Wiffles of OC. A big surprise move coming into the Orange County Wiffleball League. Obviously, Dustin's league has a lot of different rules, different play styles and whatnot, and he's here joining us on this show. This is a big one for both of us, actually, because we've faced against him, we played with him recently in the Summer Wiffleball Classic, so we know Dustin pretty well. And for a guy like him, he's very, very mature. He understands the business part of it for the most part. I got Steven on the other side here. Steven, how do you feel about having Dustin on this podcast here today?
It's something I've been wanting to do for a little while. Now that he's kind of joined us in the league, it's going to give us that excuse to get him on, especially with his performance in the Summer Classic for all 3 of the weeks. So it's good to have you on, kind of get people. A lot of the people in OC Wiffleball, they're not necessarily the most committed to wiffle ball. You know, they come out there Tuesday nights and stuff. Now they get to see it. They get to see a different side, different view of things. Of a guy who's very involved now in multiple leagues and different styles of playing a lot of competitive wiffle ball. So, and you don't just take it from our experience; you get someone else's experience as well.
Yeah, absolutely. But let me send it over to Dustin real fast. Your initial thoughts about being here on the show today? How are you feeling?
This is awesome. I've been watching or listening or whatever for the last, month or two. Talked to Steven about it. This is cool. I love what you guys are doing here. Loving what you guys are doing at the league. Love the inclusiveness of everybody into this. I'm just excited.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, this is an absolute pleasure because you're a neighbor right up the street, up in Fullerton, with the SoCal Wiffleball League. You've been running that for a very long time now. I want to say the inspiration, for the most part, if I'm guessing you're right, was from MLW. If that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, I mean we've played forever. After baseball, growing up as a kid, we all just played. We went to someone's house, we played, and we would watch MLW. We just went out, started playing, started filming some stuff. Yeah, we took a lot of rules and stuff from MLW, but man, we've been doing it forever.
Yeah, and you're the guy who's kind of doing a lot of different things, which I'm sure we'll talk about later in the show. Doing video editing, running the league by yourself, commentating, running a team, and then yourself, just. Now you're joining a league, that is more recreational, if anything. But obviously, we're really excited to have a guy like yourself on the team. So we got a lot of questions lined up here, and I'm sure we'll hopefully share a really good story about how your relationship has really built up with guys like us, and what's to come in the future as you play here at Orange County Wiffleball. And then obviously we're participating in a lot of those tournaments, and then you'll be heading up with Steven to the York, Pennsylvania tournament as well, so we'll get a little preview of that as well. I'll let Steven kind of throw things off here because I know he knows Dustin a lot more than I do as a person, but do you have any questions you would like to ask Dustin here?
Yeah, well, yeah, let's focus more on the beginning with OC Wiffleball, on some of the more recent stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I asked you out for coming to play in the Summer Classic. Well, so we played against each other in tournaments. We had recently played with each other in your most recent tournaments. What were your thoughts going into this kind of new style of play with the big barrel bats and slow pitching out there with the OC Summer Classic with us?
Honestly, I was just looking to have fun. I kind of came into it thinking it was a little more recreational than it ended up being. There's some good teams out there. There's some good players. I had a lot of fun. I think it's awesome to just play wiffle ball no matter what style it is. And I really enjoyed that style. It's something different. We've been struggling with hitting recently in our league. So to be able to come out with a little bit slower of a speed limit, bigger bat, it was a lot of fun, and it kind of re-sparked that, or it lit that spark again in me for wiffle ball.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest differences between your league and OC Wiffleball that's that speed limit. You guys are throwing. You have a speed limit of 72 miles an hour with us throwing 62, and plus you have that tournament as well with the big bro bats. There's gonna be a lot of offense going on there. But really, from what I saw, from what I heard, because I wasn't there for the second week, you came out. Not a whole lot of people knew who you were outside of our team, and you end up really being that guy, especially in that championship game. It's a very talented MS Warriors team, which kind of combines two of the top three teams, puts their best players all together. You're hitting well in that game. And biggest thing was 4 innings, 0 runs allowed, and as we ended up making a comeback and winning that final 8-5. You know, you didn't have to adjust yet to the scuff balls yet. But what were you feeling during that championship game that was working so well?
Honestly, I just went in there, tried to throw strikes. That's been my biggest thing whenever I play wiffle ball is you got to throw strikes. You can't walk guys in. The week before, I struggled. I walked in a lot of guys against the Seals. Made that game a lot closer than it should have been. So I knew I had to go in, throw strikes. If they hit the ball, they hit the ball. But at the end of the day, it all worked out. I had some great guys on my team. Both of you guys able to hit the ball. Same with Ethan and the other guys on the team. So, I mean, it was nice. It was fun for sure, and I'm just glad that we could come away with the W.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was good to come out. You know, especially me being gone the previous week. It was good to see you guys be able to win a couple games, and that's a big reason why I wanted to have you on this team is because I knew I was going to be gone for that 1 week. So kind of having you to be able to be a big help with the pitching load was going to be big as well. And then it was just recently. We've been putting out our Instagram post about trying to find a couple more guys for our regular season team, and you're actually the person that reached out to me wanting to join. What made you want to join with us?
That spark, I mean, that tournament that you guys held, it relit it for me. I had a lot of fun doing that. I'm enjoying wiffle ball again, so I figured might as well play as much as I can. Opportunity came up with a team that I know, a lot of guys that I know, a league that's friendly. Figured I'd give it a shot.
Yeah, you know, I'm like I said, you weren't there. You weren't there the first week, but lot of guys getting a lot of good offense out there. Even you have a guy in James Lee who's not the best offensive player in SoCal wiffle ball. End up having. We'll talk more about him later about his offensive day. End up having a lot of hits, couple home runs in there. Even a guy like Joaquin with a couple home runs in there. So I'm excited to see what you can do offensively, and we'll see if you adjust to this. How much you adjust to this style of pitching with the non-scuff balls, and see if you get on the mound as well. But I'm looking forward to it. But you talked a little bit. We'll focus more with the SoCal wiffle ball now. You said you guys started growing up playing baseball. When you're not playing baseball, you're playing wiffle ball for each other. What made you decide to make this an official league and to carry this out while making videos and posting them online?
So 2021, I guess we were kind of just ending COVID, things were starting to go back to normal. We picked up a wiffle ball, went out, filmed videos for no reason, just for ourselves. Posted one onto TikTok. It got like 30,000 views in a day, and I was like, oh, I got to keep posting. I don't know why in my mind I decided now there's people that want to watch, even though we had 10 followers, whatever. But kept posting, started uploading these expedition games weekly. You see a lot of the guys from the Apes from our league in there, from the Sharks. We would just go out, play on a Sunday. Then the next Sunday that video would come out, and then we started doing these tournaments. The tournament videos did well. The tournaments kept growing, and then winter came around. Some guys went away to college. baseball started up for high school, things kind of slowed down a lot. We struggled to even get videos out on Sundays. And I was like, this expedition thing isn't really working anymore. We're going to need to find some guys that are really committed to this. We had met some good people through the tournaments, like Ben Wemple, Dean Harnett, a couple other guys that now run teams in our league. I kind of talked to him. I was like, hey, what would you think about a little six team league, play, 10 games, whatever. We'll film it. That way we can film all this stuff at once and then upload it as the year goes on. And it worked out. We got little jerseys. We figured out a schedule. Everyone played each other once. And it started doing really well. Tournaments kept picking up. We kept doing these summer tournaments, had like 4 or 5 a year, just kept expanding, and it just kept going from there.
Yeah, it's been very, very cool to see. I started seeing you guys' stuff really last year. I remember it was one of your July tournaments is when I first saw more about SoCal Wiffleball. Was unfortunately unable to play one of those summer tournaments, but obviously we OC Wiffleball ended up getting the team out there for the December 31st tournaments, which we'll talk more about that a little later. We've talked on here before, but you've got a big workload on your plate, being the commissioner of the league, being the guy that has to go home and edit the videos, being the guy bringing all the equipment, setting everything up. Along with this past year, you're the MVP, the Rookie of the Year, and also the Silver Slugger of the league, as well as right in there for awards such as the Silver Slugger and the Gold Glove. How are you able to manage that workload with this league, along with living the rest of your life outside of that?
I just try to keep it fun as much as possible. I know last year was a lot of fun. A lot of guys that were really committed and excited about it. It made things easy. People would show up, we'd play. I mean, it didn't really feel like that much stress at all. I'd go home, I was still liking editing. It didn't feel like it was a lot, but things have changed. This is a lot more stressful than it was. There's a lot more people counting on us to get videos out. There's a lot more people that are wanting to play in the league. We got bigger tournaments. We're doing good things with different organizations. We're traveling. I mean, it's became a lot, but I'm still trying to keep it fun, and I think that's the most important part.
Yeah, absolutely. That's going to be, it's big. I mean, you got to make sure you're still enjoying it. Don't want to get too bogged down on the business side or the editing side. I know the editing side's been something that's been a little more of a struggle for you for lately. But you've seen some growth with this league. What's your kind of direction with SoCal Wiffleball? Where do you kind of see this going?
I just want to keep playing. There's no end goal. You know what I mean? I don't think MLW looks at anything as an end goal. I mean, we can keep getting more people in. We can keep having more tournaments. The more people that we can have to come out to have fun, that's kind of my goal. I don't care as much about making this a business, but at the same time, it does help. It does help create opportunities for us to do cool stuff, and I think that's the best part about this.
Gotcha. And you talked about having so many. Just a more personal question. You talked about having so many new guys wanting to join the league, especially now. We've seen like the Long Beach wiffleball players, and they've been wanting to join. They've been. Then there could be a possibility of some OC Wiffleball players joining that I talked to them about. Do you see it? Do you see the league expanding from 8 teams? You just expanded from 6 to 8 last year. Do you see any more teams growing in, or are you looking to try to keep it around 8 teams?
I think where we're at for this upcoming year, the 2024 season, I think we're going to have to stay at 8. My plan is to get some sort of a broadcast system out there. If that happens, then I can 100% see us expanding to 10 teams. If it does not, we already have so many games lined up, and you can only post so many times in a week that it would be very difficult to expand to 10 or more teams.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, makes sense. Got to think about just think about the time commitment. I mean, a lot of these players are only coming out here once every couple of weeks, but you're having to be out there sometimes 3-4 times a week to be able to to film all these series as well. So it's a big commitment from you outside of work, school, and just living life and things like that. So we see the work you're doing. We're trying to implement some of that stuff into OC Wiffleball as well. So we think it's great what you're doing. Just if you got some stuff, Justin, go for it. I can take a little. I'm going for a little bit. I can take a little break.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I was just gonna let you guys kind of glide with it a little bit because it seems like you guys were doing some work over there for sure. But for me, I just wanted to kind of take a little deeper dive with Dustin a bit. Like there's a lot of subtle differences between what you guys do and what OC Wiffleball does. Obviously, you guys run bases, which is a whole different type of aspect, and there's a lot more ability to have more random, chance events per se, if you want to put it that way, than OC Wiffle does. I know, during the classic, you had your Scuffed wiffle balls, and some of the guys were looking at those things, like looking at it for like at least, about an hour or so, just like, what is this thing that you brought in front of us? But it seems like from what I'm seeing, it seems like you're really enjoying it. I'm glad that has kind of sparked that love for the game a little bit more, just a tiny bit, I'm guessing, right? But it's really exciting to have a guy like yourself in this league, and being kind of that in-between ambassador per se. I think what you're doing is really, really cool. Especially you got a job. You're about to start college. This guy, you might, the way his demeanor is, acts way more mature and older than he actually is. Like the dude, like I'm gonna say, is really.
I'm sorry.
What?
Oh my God.
What?
What you're probably meaning to say is he's a lot more mature for
right.
than his age would. A lot of people at his age would be.
No, Dustin definitely is for a person who's at the age of 18, very mature individual. I've got my brother Ethan, who's the same age, about does not act as mature as people his age do, and it's two different types of stories, obviously, but for real, what you're doing is really applaud and thank you for bringing all that equipment out to the classic as well. I know that's driving down and back and forth, all that stuff, and then you got a van to keep everything in there. So really, really applaud that. But let me get back to the questions a little bit. So I really want to take like where it all began. I think that's where I'm going with this. How did you? Because you have a baseball background. I don't. Obviously, people know that. But when did you find wiffle ball? And how far back does that go in your life?
I mean, I couldn't put an exact date or year on it, but I've been tossing a wiffle ball around with my grandpa forever. For those of you who have watched the videos, especially the recent ones, that house that's in the background, that is my grandparents. Unfortunately, my grandpa has passed away, but legacy still lives on through wiffle ball. That guy taught me how to play wiffle ball. He helped me play baseball. So, I guess since I was probably 2, I've been playing with that guy. But, we kind of went away from it, as we grew older. And then COVID happened. We were bored. I mean, we went out to Walker's house. That's Steven's captain in our league.
Mm-hmm.
We went out front of his house. He had little lights that were just bright enough to see the ball. We would play, me, him, and Richard Jaime from the Cobras. We'd play all night. We'd play for hours and hours, and then one day we decided to pick it up again. About a year later, went down to the field, busted out the camera, and I guess the rest is history.
I really like that story. Just continuing that legacy that your grandpa gave to you and translating that into something really that's kind of really become really big. And it's crazy that your grandparents' house is right up there behind the field, and everyone can see it in the videos, right? I know your family's probably been up there watching some of those games from afar too, at some point, but that's really awesome. to tell that story to people, kind of the inspiration part. And OC Wiffle kind of has those roots to COVID as well. I believe it started like just right after everything started to kind of cool off after COVID, and I think Steven can confirm that for sure. But for the league as itself, what you guys are definitely doing with the amount of workload that you've got, I know it's a lot. Maybe you can use AI. I don't know. I know there's people out there that can definitely help out with the kind of stuff like that, but what you're doing over there, I can't imagine myself doing that 24/7 huge chunk of the time without some help with some other people. And then you're also at the same time during the summer you're trying to run those tournaments as well with all these teams, and then you've got to worry about you guys have a big sponsorship backing as well, and then you guys are focusing on what's coming next, with the York, Pennsylvania tournament coming up, everything like that. So let me ask you about maybe like a future type of question. And I know Steven kind of went into that a little bit too, but you said like you don't know where this is going to go. MLW doesn't know where it's going to go. So it's like, how do you make it bigger from this point? But like, the where you guys are playing right now, do you guys see yourself, maybe playing somewhere else at some point? Or do you guys see yourself like, if you guys, this thing becomes really big, do you guys see yourself doing something like, what MLW does, the tour around different fields? They play the World Series like at SoFi Stadium. I know that's like a crazy hypothetical to think about, but is there something that can be taken to another step that you think is possible in the near future?
Real quick before I get into that, I would like to give a thank you to Nathan Dodero, Cannon Rabbit, and some of the other guys that have been helping me out, especially recently. I know Vinny has been a huge help in the past. A lot of those guys have helped out with like Instagram, TikTok, stuff like that. Dean Harnett as well. All those guys that have picked up a camera, huge thank you to them. They've made my life a lot easier with that workload. But in the future, I can see us doing whatever. I mean, wherever this thing takes me, I'm down for it. We've done some special things this year. We've worked with the Miracle League, who's an amazing program here in Orange County that works with kids with disabilities through the Angels organization. We've done some stuff at some different fields, some little leagues. So it's starting for sure. If an opportunity comes up, we're definitely going to take it because I love doing things that are different from the ordinary. If there is a chance to upgrade our field, I'm all for it. That field does suck. I'll be honest. It has a big old hill right in where second base is. Right field dips down into the goalie. I don't even know what that is. The drainage system. Left field's got a hill. It's not a good field, but it makes it a lot easier to not have to bring out that blue fence every time. That's a lot of work. It's a little more convenient, and if we do want to do the broadcast thing, we would need internet. We can get that from that house. So if an opportunity comes up, it would have to be perfect, but I'm not against anything.
If you guys had the chance to work on that field and make it like as flat as you possibly could, would you do it?
100%. I would. It's on my list of things to do. Is to rent some equipment, get some guys out there, level that thing out. Make it to where you're not playing pretty much on dirt. And but so far it hasn't happened.
I mean, it's a really iconic look. You look at the videos and you see the big, massive garden that's behind there. You got your grandparents' house is obviously behind it, and then you got all the sponsors on the fence. You don't need to set up anything. All you need is the foul poles that you've got, the bases, the net, and then some easy ups, some camera equipment, and you're good to go, right? And that's huge. That's kind of a blessing in itself, and that the fact that it's like right next to that house too, it's like even better. And then obviously you guys are thinking about doing some broadcast stuff in the future, which is really cool. So I mean, hopefully things go the way you want it to, and hopefully you get a little bit of help in the process. And I know obviously you got a lot of guys who are really close to you that have helped you out with that stuff and whatnot. And we'll talk about it. About the field. You said it sucked. We'll talk. We can throw back to December 1st tournament, which we'll probably talk about here in a minute. Rainy conditions. And speaking of, we got some crazy stuff happening this Sunday, but that's a story for another time. Let's kind of focus a little bit about this new thing that's happening between OC Wiffleball and SoCal Wiff. That kind of trend about different guys coming into the league. You've got PJ Walker, who was in
PJ
OC
Gordon.
PJ Gordon, sorry, not Walker. That's a quarterback. PJ Gordon, who entered your guys' league. He's running a team himself. And then you've got Steven, who just joined, right? And then you've got, I'm sure a lot of other guys have kind of passed through as well. And I know some people from OC Wiffleball has entered those tournaments. And then now you've got, yourself, and then you've got Joaquin, and you've also got James coming into this league as well. And, you see this, this exchange happening. Because you guys are in the middle of your season. We're in the middle of our season as well. So it's like you guys are doing kind of double timing with playing in both leagues and stuff like that. So, I guess I would ask, what's your thoughts about just everything that's been happening recently?
I think it's all awesome. I think that it shows, who's committed, who wants to have the most amount of fun, and who wants to get better. I think you can see that in the results in both leagues. Obviously, Steven's been amazing in your league. He's been amazing in our league. James has been James. Joaquin, who isn't in our league yet, but he will be. That's just a given. That kid's amazing. I just think it's awesome. I don't know what else to say about it. I think it's cool that there's more opportunities to play, and I think that's all that any of those guys really care about.
Yeah, giving more and obviously adjusting to a different style of things. Obviously you weren't there. We're going to talk about it later in the show, but they had some issues, adjusting to the cleaner ball than what you guys used with the more scuffed up style way of things. But it seemed like some guys were figuring it out. But I think that just comes with time a little bit. But it's fun when you have to adjust to different things. I know personally for myself, going out to those fast pitch tournaments and seeing those guys throw freaking 90 miles an hour plus whatever, and then that's what you guys are going to see up in York, Pennsylvania. I don't know, was this, we actually played against you guys a few times, obviously in your SoCal tournaments that you had this summer, and then there was that one time in the fast pitch tournament as well. You guys have seen, and then you guys won, one of those tournaments up in Upland as well. What's your thoughts, seeing, a lot of those teams, was this your first taste of that, faster style of pitching, the use of the cut balls and whatnot, and then, obviously United Wiffleball has different rules set in there.
So last year in October, we got asked from Logan Rose, who runs BLW, to head out to Arizona for one of their tournaments. We went out there. I didn't really expect much. I knew that it was fast pitch. Wasn't actually sure what the pitching distance was. I knew that there was no cut balls, no skinny barrel bats. So we went out there. We played some great teams like Wiffzilla. We played the Las Vegas Pharaohs. We obviously played BLW who had Jordan Robles, who's one of the more decorated wiffle players in the nation. And it was fun. It was our first taste of fast pitch. We still were using skinny barrel bats, so we were kind of used to it. No cut balls, so we were used to that. But it was awesome. It was fun. But then I was invited out by Joaquin to that tournament, that the mock tournament in Upland that we played you guys in. That was the first time I'd ever used a big barrel bat. That was the first time I'd ever used cut balls. First time I'd ever used those rules, the UWIFs rules. BLW had a different set of rules, and it was fun, and I really, really, really enjoyed it. I honestly think that I enjoyed it more than I did my own rules, which is weird to say, but I did. It was less time to react, which oddly enough made it more fun for me. And then we went out to another one. Joaquin, Vinny, Nate Dodaro. Those guys kind of carried me to that championship. I won't lie. Those guys were amazing. actually tomorrow, Steven and I are headed back to Upland for the playoffs. We're bringing out the York team. So myself, Steven, Ethan Johnson, Nathan Nodero, and Cannon Rabbit, we're all going to go out there, see what we can do. We know that there's good competition. We kind of have an idea of how everything runs now. We're going to go have a good time.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are in the early preview of York, Pennsylvania, so obviously you guys are getting ready for that. This is the best way to do it. At the time this is being recorded, right? You said there's one day before you guys are heading up there. By the time this is probably out, that might have already happened, and then Steve and I will probably talk about it one episode down the road and whatnot. But it's great that you guys are getting that experience in there for those guys who have played it, need some more experience, using the big bats and using the cut balls. I know for sure, the tournaments that Steven and I have participated, we have SoCal Wiff, we haven't beaten your team. Every time we face you guys, we figure out how to, fall behind you guys. We did get one in the United Wiffleball tournament, which is great. It was a really close game. And we can talk about that a bit later too. And then Steven decided, let me just, go with the flow and let me go play with Dustin. And then you guys actually won one together. So I guess that's the winning formula. So now you guys are going to participate together at the York, Pennsylvania tournament. So that duo, would be really cool as well. I want to deep dive more into York just in a second. But let's talk about the December 31st tournament now, and let's go back to that a bit. December 31st, very, very wet day indeed. This was the first time for me, participating in a pretty big tournament like this. Steven had me go out there just to see how things are. We had some of our all-star guys from OC Wiff kind of come out to see what it's like as well. But my God, conditions were tough. I'll have you start off, and then Steven can kind of chime in too about that experience as well. But when you came, that day, December 31st, what was running in your head?
Okay, so as I do with every tournament, the day before, I go down to the field and I line the fields. Okay, it takes me hour, 2 hours. It's not horrible. This is the first time that we've ever used 5 fields. I go down there with Jared Tapia, who is a current teammate of Stephen Hayden's on the SoCal Sharks, and it is just pouring rain. We spray stuff and it just instantly gets wiped away. The spray paint will not stay at all. It took us probably 4 hours to get all the lines down, just in the pouring rain. It was pitch black out because it was getting dark at 5:30 for some reason. And I felt so proud of us. We finished it all. We were going to bed, ready for the day. I show up at about 6 a.m. the next morning. You can see it in one of our videos. I did a little vlog for that day, and someone took their truck and did donuts throughout every single field. Don't know how in the 6 hours that I wasn't there they managed to get there and do that, but they did. We showed up. Every batter's box pretty much was already full of water and mud from those tire tracks, and it was horrible but awesome at the same time. We set up everything. I don't think a single person got to first base in under 10 seconds. I don't think it was possible. You were pretty much crawling at that point. It was the first time I've ever played in the rain, and it was the most fun I've ever had.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you're talking about, nobody could run to first base under 10 seconds. There was some of the guys were live streaming the games, like the Pharaohs. When we played them in our game, there's a video of me hitting a ball down the first base line, and immediately, I tried to take a step and I just eat it. It was bad. It was horrible. And then you talk about, other teams playing on the same field, game after game after game. It doesn't get better. It gets worse. And you're just creating, an ocean of water on every single field. And then we get to, your guys' game, and it was worse than it could ever be imaginable. But it turned out to be a really fun game. let me ask Steven, like when we're overall in the tournament, and you could talk about some of those games a little bit, but I think our main focus would be the game against Dustin for the most part. But what were you thinking for the most part about that tournament and all the conditions and whatnot?
Yeah, well, going into it, kind of signed up. I'd seen the signups for a couple months. I wanted to try to get a team of 4 or 5 guys out there, and ended up getting a couple guys from my team. Obviously, had me and Justin at that point. Jordan Dressler had just announced he just signed with us like a couple days. He just like joined our team a couple days ago. Then he got Ben Cottaspotty and Dylan Hoffman, who, if you actually watch the vlog back, you can see Dylan Hoffman getting interviewed about a minute and a half into the video. But had those 5 out, some of the top 5 players in our league, apart from Justin. But we came out here trying to see what we can do. I wasn't sure I figured the competition was going to be really good out there. It's just all a matchup of who you get. We had 2 easier games, I would say, and then we also played the Pharaohs, which we didn't get to complete because of time limit. But we ended up going 3-0 in the bracket play and finishing with the number 2 seed. Then I see the number 7 versus 10 seed. It's two teams that both have guys that are currently in the league. If I'm not mistaken, your team, Dustin, was the 10th seed, and you guys end up winning that game. We end up playing each other. It was a very intense game. Probably one of the better games that I've played in my wiffle career. But what were your thoughts kind of going through during that whole game with us? I know there are a lot of games on that day, and you've played a lot since. But what were you? I mean, you had your instance where you cramped up while warming up. What were your kind of thoughts on the game that you played against us in that tournament?
Oh man. Well, going into it, I almost had circled you guys because I knew you guys were the other league in the area. I didn't really know how good you guys were going to be, but, out of the corner of my eye, I could see this little team in bright orange kind of going 3-0, sliding into that 2 seed. I see them in the bracket, and I'm like, oh, man, here we go. I know that I had heard of you, Steven. I think we had talked prior to that. I'm
a little bit, yeah.
Not sure, but I believe we had talked about the upcoming season. We go into that game. I honestly couldn't tell you who started for my team. I know that it wasn't me. I don't know if it was Jackson or if it was EJ.
No, it was EJ. It was EJ, if I remember correctly.
Then it was EJ. Don't know exactly how that game went. All that I know is I went into the third, threw 1 warm-up pitch, and cramped instantly. Probably the worst calf cramp I'd ever have in the worst spot that I could have had because I just laid down straight into the muddy pitcher's mound. Took a 10-minute intermission, went back out, pretty much was thrown on 1 leg, had 1 pitch because the ball was muddy, and it worked out for us. I mean, it was a great game. I know that was probably the most fun single game that I've ever had.
Yeah, it was I'm just going through it a little bit. Yeah, Ethan Johnson started on the mound. He walked a few guys, and then with bases loaded, I hit a grand slam, getting the 5-run mercy in the first inning. Then I'm starting the game, and by the way, we've discussed this before. The field at that point, the puddle was up past my ankle. So I'm trying to pitch on the mound, and it was my second game on that field in a row. But my foot's soaked at that point, and I'm sinking into the ground, and it's getting higher on my leg. You guys end up making a comeback in the second inning, making it 5-5 after I just lost control. That was actually my first time competitively like pitching from that distance and trying to use scuffed balls. I had some non-scuff ones mixed in there that I knew I was familiar with, but that was my first time really in that SoCal style. Third inning comes around. He had a couple at a couple great pop-ups that were caught. One by Dylan Hoffman running all the way across the field as I slipped on the third base side. Dylan Hoffman comes running all the way from the first base side, lays out right in front of the fence to make a catch. Fourth, and then the fifth inning, we had Ben was pitching, and you guys got around. Got around to him. Then Dylan tried pitching as well. You guys ended up got a four run in the inning for the extra innings. I got a double that brought in 2 runs with 2 outs in the fifth inning, but it wasn't enough. We ended up losing that game 9-7, and you guys made your way to the semifinals. But overall was a very it was one of the more fun games I ever played. Win or lose, it was great to be out there, and it got a good introduction because I had talked to you a little bit before. At first, it was talking about the have me bring out a radar out there, which that's a completely other story because it got stolen out there. But then it was talking about kind of joining the league and things like that. But yeah, that tournament was great. Sorry, I'm just kind of rambling on. I'm sorry. I'm just thinking of that game, just trying to give as best of a recap as I can for. We talked about it on the podcast when we first started. We had mentioned this before, but just the whole day, the whole day was very wet, very muddy. I'm glad to see that you were still able to maintain the composure. That's part of the. That's part of the maturity that we've talked about. Maintain the composure, keep everyone in line, and keep things moving. Especially with 20 teams out there, that must have been very hard. That must have been very difficult for you.
Yeah, it's definitely a new challenge, but I did really enjoy that. I enjoyed seeing a lot of new faces, guys from different leagues, guys from different states. It was really our first taste of something that big. And I will say we will be having another Winter Wiffle Classic. It will not be on the 31st. I believe it will be on the 30th. But I'm looking to have the same, if not more, teams come out. I think that we've grown enough to where 30 wouldn't even be an unrealistic number. I think that it's very possible for another tournament like that to happen. Hopefully, it's not rainy. But if it is, I think everyone will still have a good time.
Yeah, let's just have a tournament during the hurricane. Let's just do it right now, this Sunday.
Let's do it.
That's what we're doing tomorrow. So
yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you're talking about all the crazy conditions people are trying to deal with. I'm sure you're worried about the camera cone that you had present over there. Trying to keep it covered under the easy up. The wiffle balls are like covered in water, dirt, whatnot. Your socks are just like completely soaked, or they're soggy. You're like for me, I was like, I'm ready for a shower, dude. Like, I need to go home, take a warm shower, and just chill out after this is over.
Well, you also slid down the hill like multiple times with Jordan.
That's true, and
that's actually in the vlog as well. You can see you sliding down the hill. We just finished our third pool play game. I can't remember who initiated it, but you guys saw a couple pieces of cardboard up there. And you just started going.
Well, I saw the hill, and I was like thinking about like, oh, Little League, World Series has that hill that you can go down with the cardboard boxes and stuff. We're like, all right. I looked at Jordan. I said, "You want to go down the hill?" And he said, "All right, let's do it." I had a good slide, after he, went down and ate absolute dirt going down that slide. It was not the prettiest slide he ever seen. He basically rolled down the whole way, covered in dirt. So he was having a great day, obviously. But I mean, even like, you hit the balls and they just like, you think they would bounce, because you usually, obviously baseball, they, bounce off the grass and whatnot. No, these things just died as soon as they hit the water. Like, just like splat like that. You're like, okay, this is how it's going to be, this entire time. But no, yeah, I thought the tournament was really fun. But hopefully, obviously those conditions won't be the same. But tournaments, after that, which I'm about to get to here in a second, they're really fun. I mean, the biggest part of these is, that the downside is that they're just lengthy as heck once you get to the later part of the day, and trying to keep up that energy. These tournaments really do get you gassed out, especially if you get into the deeper part of those tournaments. And I'm sure that's the biggest thing you guys are going to be thinking about when you guys go to York, Pennsylvania, is just if you guys do make it that deep into it, like say like you guys make it to Sunday. Like you guys are gonna have to figure out a lot of different things, which is, I'm sure you guys are gonna be messing around with a bit here. But yeah, let's talk about some of those other tournaments just a little bit. So fast forward to June 24th, which is one of those tournaments that you guys had. It was supposed to be your guys's one of your guys' biggest tournaments, as you said, from a year ago, if I'm not mistaken. But it turned out there wasn't that many teams there. So you want to give us a story, just about a little bit of that backstory bit?
Yeah, I mean, we had a lot of people signed up that had bought stuff that, we had a lot of teams. And when you look at it statistically, the last 2 years that tournament in June, like close to the 4th of July, has done extremely well. I think last year we had 13 teams, which was our record before the 20, and the year before that had 11, which was the first time we'd even broken past 8. And then we only had 8 teams, something like that. I don't even remember how many we had.
Yeah, it was only 8 teams, and you just got the 8th team like the day before.
Yeah, it was not a big tournament. I don't know what really happened, because we had gotten a lot of DMs. We had a lot of people that ended up needing refunds. Not really sure. We probably would have had closer to 15 teams out there and ended up with only 8, which is totally fine. And it was still good competition. But yeah, I was a little disappointed about that one.
Yeah, I mean, you guys get less teams. I mean, obviously you guys were working with 2 fields rather than 4 in total in that case. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure I would be disappointed too. You get all those teams signed up, but then they've had to back out early for whatever thing they had going on, and then you're expecting a big turnout from just looking the way it looked like from 2 years ago, and then 1 year ago, and then you get to that day and you're like, what in the heck is going on here? But it was a pretty fun tournament. You don't. I mean, obviously you're not out there for the long part of the day. You get to chill out a little bit, watch some of those games, and not have to like flip your head like a left right every time other games are going on and whatnot. But your team in particular, I think you were supposed to have more guys, but it just ended up being you and Cannon, right?
Yeah, so Mitchell Downing was there with us for round robin, and he was able to play with us in the first round of the playoffs, but he had, I believe, a baby shower to go to. I don't remember exactly. Maybe it was a birthday. I'm not sure. But he had to leave us, and so it kind of just left Cannon and I, which was the first time that really I've ever done that. We have had a 2-man team win before, but it was under some different circumstances where a guy's entire team left, so he picked up someone else. And it worked out. It did, but it was different, and I think it was a good experience to kind of learn how to trust the guys that you're playing with.
Yeah, that's not a bad second man to have either with Cannon Rabbit, given the way he's started off the season for the Phoenix as well. He's been great so far in his first 2 series, being Trek Player of the Series in both. That's a pretty good partner to have.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I think the only thing better would be Stephen Hayden, but we'll get to that.
Cannon may question that, but speaking of that partnership, we did have your most recent tournament, which is July 22nd, in which we teamed up together. We were supposed to have 4, but as you told me on the day, EJ let you know that the night before things were he was going to be able to go, and then Jackson just didn't let you know what was going on. So it ended up just being you and me out there. We won all 3 of our pool play games, and ended up winning that tournament. Just kind of transitioning to that. What were your thoughts on that day?
Honestly, I had the same expectations as the last tournament. I knew that the competition coming in wasn't going to be as insane as it's been in the past. Yeah, there were still really good players, especially really good kids like those Long Beach Whiff guys. Those kids have impressed me a lot. I'm looking forward to seeing them more for sure. But the expectations were high. I knew Steven and I would make a good combo, and all we had to do was execute, and that's exactly what we did.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to that finals game between us and Long Beach City. It was a back and forth game. We ended up coming out and taking the 5-3 victory. But I mean, those Long Beach Whiffs kids, it'd be interesting to see how they kind of step into the league next year. I know some of them talked to me about having some interest. They were able to beat basically which is kind of the Llamas. It was PJ Gordon, Mitchell Downing, Trent Lyle, and I believe Brett Myers with them. I can't remember who their fourth was.
Yeah.
But they took them down to the semifinals and got a home run off PJ. That's something not a lot of people in the league can say that they do. So I think that'll be interesting to see them. But it was good to it was good to be on your side versus against you, because I haven't had much luck against you in tournaments and things like that. But it was good to get one of those, and it was good to have some good moments in there.
Yeah, Steven said, if you can't beat them, join them. Basically, in that part. But I mean, obviously, you can be one of those guys that says you hit a home run off of PJ. I think a lot of people have seen that video, with the preseason game, right?
Yeah, true. Yeah, that was also a spring training game, and he literally just threw me 2 sliders, and I swung at the first pitch. That was a strike. I did forget about that, actually. And of course our OC Wiffleball teammate Jordan Dressler has hit a couple home runs against him as well. But you'll see how you'll see how I do against PJ in the regular season. That'll be coming out a little later. But we've transitioned away from the tournaments. We've talked a lot about you guys kind of transitioning in between the leagues and stuff. Talked about you kind of being that in between for both. That was kind of my goal for both as I stepped into the league this last year. The week after that December 31st tournament, you guys hosted the tryouts and things like that. You had a lot of guys you knew out there, and then had me was kind of that wild card. What were your kind of thoughts on the guys that came out there that day? And then, I mean, not knowing as much about, just more of a personal thing. What were your kind of thoughts about how you thought some of these guys would do, like such as like me and James Lee, who you hadn't seen too much?
So, going into that, I kind of had an idea of who exactly every team was going to be drafting. Everyone had sort of told me, hey, this is what's happening. And we kind of knew already. And then this guy, Stephen Hayden, showed up. And it caught this special someone's eye. His name is Walker Randolph. And, I mean, you came out and showed up. I mean, you pretty much embarrassed everyone else that was there in a sense. You played better than anyone else. I mean, I don't know what else to say. James showed up and he did phenomenal as well, but he struggled hitting wise. You did not. That's where the difference was. And I think in a lot of the league's eye, you were the better player, especially on the day. The draft comes around. That was a little bit different. Some things that happened. Walker had talked to me. I know that his team struggled last year, so I was trying to help him out as much as possible and trying to help out some of the other teams as much as possible. And I think at the end of the day, everyone was happy with who they got. I think some teams weren't very smart by passing up on you. I could understand James going 1. I could really understand you going 1. I could not understand anyone else going 2. But things happen. The league is the way that it is now because of that draft. I will say that. You guys who watch will just have to wait and see exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah. As of this point right now, I've only played in one series. It was a pretty good series, though. the standings for all the award winners. I was I was first in nearly all the awards. I was second in the Cy Young, which I thought was a little generous, to be honest. Looking at that list, I thought I should have been like third or fourth behind you as well, given how you had pitched in your opening day series versus the Penguins. But you know that's you. I'll take it. But that's I kind of figured out on that day. I was really kind of the only guy that people that hadn't been brought out by one of the teams. So I was just trying to play well and show that I could hang in this league. I think that's still at that point that day. I still wasn't using scuffed wiffle balls. I was using the same wiffle balls we use in OC Wiffleball, and I was throwing pretty slow, to be honest. But when I had first started picking up a wiffle ball about 4 or 5 years ago, I started more with the scuffed, more with the MLW rules with the scuff ball and a little further distance. So I just needed to readjust and get back to that style. And then hitting wise, I feel confident enough in myself as a hitter to be able to adjust to any style. So I just that first series versus the Apes was a big one. But it's no disrespect to any of the teams to the other teams that didn't take me. Obviously, James Lee had been playing with Dean Arnett and Vinny Casella. Nico Mendez being great friends with a lot of the Apes guys like Steven Bogart, things like that, and then Nolan Jackson being very well known with Richard Jaime and things like that. So I think coming out to the day, I think Walker was the only one that didn't really bring out a guy, if I'm not mistaken, if I remember from the video. And luckily things worked out. He took a chance, and so far we're starting off 2-0.
Yeah, I mean, you're doing a lot of work in that, other league and really showing out, the kind of talents you had and the kind of comparison, I think a lot of people would give to that type of draft that it was for yourself. Patrick Mahomes, got passed up, by a lot of other guys,
no.
a lot of other guys.
Oh my God.
And I won't mention specifically who, but
don't say the Bears.
I won't. I didn't say it.
Don't say the Bears.
I didn't say it. I'm not gonna say it. But you see the type of talent that he's got and what he's done in the league, in the NFL as a guy like himself, and a lot of guys kind of overlooked that. So I think that's a good comparison. Honestly, just the kind of talent that you're bringing to SoCal Wiffleball. Obviously the dominance is there in OC Wiffleball. They haven't announced yet, but we're believing that Steven was the MVP in the summer 2023 season by a pretty large margin to say nonetheless. But I think that can be said. So, especially, you're talking about Steven right now about, that outlook of what's happened after that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just happy to play in SoCal Wiffleball. I was happy to be drafted, and I'm glad to be playing the league and be able to get more relationship with the guys in the league, especially be able to talk more about things with a guy like Dustin and be able to. I've been wanting to go to more of these events. I saw the stuff about the BOW tournament last year with the viral clips from Trevor Bauer swinging and falling over, and Eric Sims getting K'd up looking, things like that. So I've been wanting to do stuff like that, and glad to be around a guy like Dustin who's done that stuff before and is interested in doing more of that stuff in the future.
Yeah. So, we got a guy who's very committed to his craft and what he's doing with the league, over there and whatnot. So Dustin, let me ask you, you're part of this new league now. You guys are preparing for something really big up in York, Pennsylvania. So let's talk about that a little bit and see how things are, kind of standing. What's the the team that you guys have built in preparation for York, Pennsylvania? What are you guys doing to train for that? And what's kind of your guys' way of helping your guys selves out to get to that point up in York, Pennsylvania to make that as as big as this is for you guys?
So the team that I've put together, I mentioned it earlier, it's the same team that's going to this Upland tournament as of recording tomorrow. It's myself, Stephen Hayden, Ethan Johnson. Those are our set 3 as of right now. Those are the 3 that I have registered us under. And those are our core guys. In addition to that, I'm trying and hoping to get Cannon and Nate, who are both part of the Phoenix crew, who know how to win. These guys are baseball players. They've won their whole life. These guys know how to win. I'm hoping with their little bit of extra fight to them, we can do some damage out there. We are, like I said, going to this tournament tomorrow as a team. We're going to go play some really good guys, a lot of guys that are going out there to York. Aside from that, I know we're trying to do some practices down at the field. We got to get used to the fast pitch, got to get used to the cut balls. I know I've been throwing a lot of bullpens in my backyard from the distance, so I am a little more shaky for stuff like your league or my league. I think in the end it's going to pay off because that is kind of what I'm focusing on right now. I think that it's a huge opportunity, and if we do well, it will really get our name out there.
Yeah, absolutely. What are your, when we get out there, what are your kind of expectations? How are you hoping to do? How are you hoping our team does out there on that weekend in October?
I really want to make a statement, no matter how that is, whether it's beating a big team in round robin, taking out a big team if we make it to single elimination, just making it to single elimination. I'm not really sure what the expectations are. I'm hoping to win at least 2 games. If we do that, I feel like I can call it a success. If we can go 2-2 or 2-3 or whatever. But I'm still just trying to have fun. I think it's going to be a good trip with the boys. I've got 2 cameramen coming out that are going to be filming the whole experience for us. It should be a lot of fun. It should be very competitive wiffle ball. It's something that none of us have ever experienced before. So getting that experience will help a lot, especially with the BLW tournament coming up later that month. Yeah, I think we got a good group of guys that all know each other. We can all play well with each other, and I think we're gonna go out there and have fun.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you just get 2 wins out there. You're already putting yourself into the early 20s in terms of finishing. We've out at Upland, we've played a team like the Cajuns, the most recent World Championship. They went 2-3, putting themselves at tied for 25th. So you get those 2 wins. You can really you can really put yourself out there. You can help grow. You can help grow even the SoCal League more. Just getting a new audience. I don't know I don't know how much the analytics could show, but I'm sure a lot. I would guess a lot of your viewers would be more like locally around here. You can do well out there. You get guys to see who you are out there. I mean, who knows? I mean, who knows? You can get watching your stuff, or you can get joining your stuff. That's maybe around the area and is very good and doesn't know too much about it. So I think this could be a big opportunity for us, and I hope that for OC Wiffleball that we're able to get out a group at some point in the future to kind of do the same thing. We're planning on doing it this year, but unfortunately things never happened. Things fell apart, and that's ended up not happening. But we still have this group. Which we're representing SoCal Wiffleball. I'll be representing both SoCal and OC Wiffleball, obviously as well. So I think it's a big opportunity for us, and I'm excited to see how we go, especially with a younger group like this. I think we do well, could win a couple games, possibly get to that. If we're able to get to that final 16, I think that would be huge for us.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I'll reiterate it again. Obviously things didn't work out for the guys over at Orange County Wiffleball. Setting a team over there, we had some things going on that didn't work out. But I mean, essentially, now that you're part of OC Wiffleball as well, you guys are not I mean, not only are you guys representing Orange County Wiffleball and SoCal Wiffleball, you guys are basically representing, West Coast Wiffleball as a whole, going out there to York, Pennsylvania, where it's, a bigger sport. There's a bigger gathering and base behind Wiffleball out there in the East Coast. Obviously MLW thrives out there. There's so many, tournaments, there's leagues playing on ESPN, whatever, 3, 4, something like that, on TV, nationally televised and stuff like that. So you guys are really, putting in the name for, wiffle ball here on the West Coast, and putting that name in. So, hopefully things really do work out, and you guys bring over a lot of really good attention to, all the leagues that are, really trying to, make a stand for themselves out here in the West Coast and what. And obviously, there are, some really big leagues, especially like over in Las Vegas, and we've seen some of those guys, kind of thrive out here as well. And, and this might be a little off topic, but Dustin, I know you know how to win, obviously. And this took a little deep dig to find, but part of the, if I'm correct, the Fullerton's Little League Junior Division champions.
Yeah, so back in 2019, we took a trip with some guys in Golden Hill Little League. We went to Michigan. We played in the Junior Little League World Series, and we beat Puerto Rico in the finals to claim the World Series championship.
That's sick. I had to kind of deep dive in it to find that. I found a random picture of you and some of those guys in the West uniform in there, and I was like, oh, that looks like Dustin. And then I found the article, and I was like, oh, they won the Junior Little League World Series. I mean, to even get there is crazy, and then to win it all, which is even crazier, because you're not just playing teams in the nation, you're playing teams across the world too. In that case, and that's yeah. I mean, obviously you guys are going somewhere to a different world per se, and you guys are facing off some of the best wiffle ball players in the entire country, and it's in a sport that is not baseball, but something that you guys are really passionate about. And obviously once we finish that, I think we would love to have you back on here with Steven, and then we can talk about everything that happens with your guys' time over in York, Pennsylvania. So that'll be humongous, for everybody, not just you and I, Steven, Dustin, everybody who's watching this, and everybody else, who's, watching this that's outside of our, SoCal Wiffleball, Orange OC Wiffleball parameters and whatnot. So, but yeah, so let me start, capping this off a little bit, with the future outlook that you've got for Orange County Wiffleball now that you're a member of the LA Wiffles of OC, Spring 2023 World Series champions. What's your expectations for yourself, and being a part of this team now? What do you want to get out of this? Do you want to get a World Series win? I'm sure you do, obviously. What's kind of the expectations going down the road?
I'm not gonna set expectations for myself. I'd never try to. All that I'm trying to do is find a way to get our team a win, no matter how that is. If it's got to be scrappy ball, then it's going to be scrappy ball. But I like to win. I get very competitive when I start doing things. I know Steven does. I know a lot of the guys on this team do. So yeah, I am expecting us to win this World Series, and I think it's very possible as long as we keep a level head and take each game one inning at a time.
I like it. Just very humble, words there. Being able to give us, not setting expectations, just kind of going with, what's given to you guys at hand, and just, going with what's, present in front of you, and not trying to think too far down the road. I think that's a really good formula for, a lot of these teams to, kind of, who are looking to win a championship. Purple Huskies. And so I think that's a really good thing. So, Steven, we're coming to a pretty good close here with our interview with Dustin. If there's anything else you'd like to add, we can talk about it. I'll send it over to you, but if there's anything else, what you got?
Yeah, I'll just do one more quick thing, just kind of bringing it back to SoCal Wiffleball, without giving away too much, what can hopefully, what should I say? Hopefully, some people will check out some of the YouTube videos as well for SoCal Wiffleball. Without giving away too much, what can people kind of expect for the for the rest of the season with the rest of the videos coming out?
We've had a lot of really, really, really good games and a lot of really, really, really good opportunities. We've done some good things with good people. We've had a lot of good players show up. James Lee, Stephen Hayden, PJ Gordon, Mitchell Downing, Cannon Rabbit, all the old guys from last year as well. I mean, this season's been fun. It's been very, very, very competitive. The entire league's kind of been flipped on its head, and I think it's for the better. I think you guys just got to stay tuned because this is some of the better wiffle ball that I've ever seen be played, and I'm so glad that I can be a part of it.
Yeah, but we're happy that you're out here running it. We appreciate that. Just make sure it won't come out for about a month and a half or so. But the series that Dustin and I have against each other is a very interesting series, very very tense couple of games. So make sure you guys check that out. But first, I believe we might have some special series next. Where you just have to stay tuned and see what goes up next on the channel. But that's all I have from my end, Justin. Unless you got anything else, I don't want to. Well, Dustin's a very busy guy. We've had him for a while. It's getting pretty late. I don't want to hold him too much. We gotta play in about 9 hours tomorrow morning.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just give my final thoughts, honestly. I mean, just, your presence being here tells a lot about, your character as yourself. And then obviously, being able to, take the time out of your day to come play OC Wiffleball while you're running so many different things over at SoCal Wiffleball as well. And I think that's just kind of a testament to, bridging this thing, between the two leagues that we've got here. And, just kind of like, both of these leagues can have, different things that are fun. You've seen the Summer Wiffleball Classic for OC Wiffleball. You've seen, some of the rules that we play with. Now you're part of it too. You get to see those rules and how they work. And then obviously, Steven himself, he's, plays in your guys' league, so he knows what those rules are like. And then obviously you guys have your tournaments, to people who want to play that style as well without, having to commit to such a, to a lengthy season like that. And, just get that really cool preview of the, the rules and using base running, scuff wiffle balls, the big nets that you guys use, and then having a wall, whatnot. So I'm glad that you're here to be a part of this new era that's starting to grow out here in the West Coast side, and I think it's huge, for not just for everybody here, but for everybody around the West Coast side of wiffle ball. So I applaud you for representing that side of things, and appreciate you doing all the work that you do, and what you did for the classic and what you continue to do now.
Thank you, guys.
Well, I think we can let you go here. I know you got to get ready for the tournament tomorrow, so I think that'll just close it out here. So once again, Dustin Staggs, Commissioner of the SoCal Wiffleball League, 2019 Junior Little League World Series champion, future LA Wiffles of OC champion, hopefully, and we'll keep an eye out on all the things that they're doing on their side of things. We'll talk about that as Steven plays his games, and then obviously, Dustin's part of this story now as well. So I think that's all we got. Thank you again, Dustin, and good luck tomorrow. And then we'll come back here, and if you guys can catch Dustin's debut in the OC Wiffleball in week 2.
Yeah. Just last thing, check out the YouTube channel. If you want any wiffleball merch, SoCal Wiffleball does have a website. You can buy a lot of different products. You got hoodies, you got sandals, you got shirts, hats. I got a whole bunch of stuff like that. If you guys are interested in buying any things like that, go check out the website itself. Otherwise, you have their Instagram and their YouTube channel, their TikTok as well. Is there anything else you want to shout out, Dustin?
No, I think you covered everything that we do. Thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it. I'm looking forward to the season.
Absolutely.
Sounds good. Thank you for coming on. Looking forward to continued success with the league. We'll talk more about in just a minute with the results from the first week. But so far a good start for us. We're looking forward to seeing everybody out there for the rest of the season. I'm all good here, Justin. So take it away.
All right, well, we'll see you guys later, and then we'll talk about the week 1 stuff in just a second. But thank you again, Dustin, and we'll see you very soon, my friend.
Thank you. Later, guys.
Yep. Okay, welcome back, everybody. Thank you to Dustin Staggs for being on the show, SoCal Wiffleball league commissioner and all that. So hopefully, gonna have a really good season with him here on the team. We appreciate his time. We're going to talk about finally getting into the fall 2023 Wiffleball season. It just started as we are speaking on Tuesday. This time up in Huntington Beach, we had the new era, new divisions, Division 1, Division 2, and the Purple League. A lot of brand new teams have entered the play. We have a total of 19 teams in the league now, which is a huge number. The most teams we've ever had in this league ever, which is awesome. But we're going to talk about every game that kind of happened in week 1 and talk about some of these new teams, some of these new faces that we see. Obviously, some of the big news for Steven and I is we have 2 teams now, the LA Wiffles of OC and OC Wiffles of LA, both in Division 1. But let me ask you, Steven, what are your thoughts after seeing all these new teams playing here and all these new divisions and whatnot happening here in the first week?
Well, let me backtrack to the. It's always good to talk with Dustin. I've been more involved talking to him the past 8 months or so, really since the beginning of the year. One of the more mature guys I've met, especially for guys just graduating out of high school and going to his first year of college. Just love the way he goes about stuff. He's on stuff. He's ready. He's willing to be open to different things, whether it be wiffleball related or not. He's a busy man, so we appreciate him having him on. Just he's a great guy to be around. So I'm glad he's joined us for our team this summer, for this fall. He was with us in the Summer Classic, obviously, when we won the Summer Classic, and I'm going to be playing with him more and more, especially when it comes to October. I'm going to be heading to York, Pennsylvania with him for the Wiffleball World Championships. And also, this podcast won't be out by then, but by the time this podcast goes out, we'll be playing a fast pitch tournament together as well. Me and a couple other of the SoCal guys, including Dustin, are we going to be playing a fast pitch tournament tomorrow to get ready for York, Pennsylvania, things like that. But for me, it was out on Tuesday night. It was interesting to see the different faces out here. You don't know how teams are going to line up. You don't know what the combo what the combos are going to be, what the Purple Huskies and the MS Warriors are going to look like. You have Joey Ponder and Shaden Hendrickson switching spots. That's something I wouldn't have guessed would have happened. You obviously have us splitting up the 2 teams. A lot of our teams staying together. A couple from last year leaving to a different team, leaving to the other team, and then some new faces, especially some young faces in there as well. Seeing more females involved is good for the league as well. Be able to get them in there and get more of a co-ed style play. I think things have been successful so far with the Purple division, and then you have some new teams, new faces in there, such as the OC Seals, and doing well out in their first game. Then Whoosh coming back and being able to continue on what they were doing last year. So I think the more teams we can get, the better. Obviously, things were a little bit crowded with the field the first week. It's a work in progress, but there will most likely be for next week. We'll most likely have games starting at 6, 7, 8, and 9, and only having 3 fields going, so things don't feel as cramped as they were last week. So be on the lookout for that in the next email that comes out. And we'll still be at the same turf field. We should be able to play, although I've been seeing starting Saturday nights going to Sunday and Monday, there's going to be a lot of rain coming in here. But Tuesday, it doesn't look like it's really going to rain during the day. And we're going to be on that turf field anyway, so it looks like we should be good. But overall, I think it was I was talking with Anthony. I think it was a good first week that we had. Just getting some new guys out there to play, getting a lot of old faces on different teams or the same teams. I think overall it was a good first week.
Yeah, I do want to talk about Dustin a little bit. Just going backtrack, and I'll kind of get an idea of those thoughts a little bit wrapped up here in a nutshell. Dustin definitely acts like a gentleman, a lot older than his age, actually. You know, his demeanor is very mature. He's running a business, so he kind of has that, business mindset mentality. Guy has his own business. He has his own van with all the stuff in there. Absolutely came in clutch with the field equipment, the fences, and everything like that in the Summer Wiffleball Classic. And then obviously playing for us, which is, a big deal, for not just this league, but, every wiffle player around, because a guy of his talents and coming into this league is going to change a lot of different things and how people kind of see wiffle ball around the world, which is pretty epic. And it's a treat for us to be able to have a guy like him play on our team, especially with the amount of talent that we already have so far. And teams are already upgrading. We'll talk about like the MS Warriors as such, and the Purple Huskies. Like, they have a lot more talent on their side of things, and they're wrapping up the talent wise on that phase and everything like that. But yeah, week one I thought was really good. A lot of new teams, like you said, and there's a lot of younger guys coming into the league now, especially for our other, second team. There's a lot of younger dudes in that team as well, who we'll kind of talk about for the most part, because they're also coming in from SoCal Wiffleball too. So not just Dustin, but a couple of other guys, James Lee and Joaquin Jimenez is coming in from SoCal Wiffleball. So, it's always, there's a little adjustment thing, with their style and all that. But addressing what's happening this weekend, maybe we'll talk about that later, or we'll talk about it in the next episode. But there's a warning about Hurricane Hillary that's coming through here over the weekend. Don't know how much rain. Supposedly in our area it's supposed to be about 3 to 4 inches or so. Shouldn't affect it too much, but hopefully the winds kind of aren't too strong enough to knock stuff down where it'll get in the way. Hopefully the roads are pretty clear. So if the conditions are a little bit rough coming into week 2, everyone please be safe and make sure you guys prepare well for what's coming, because I guess this hasn't happened in 87 years or whatnot in Southern California. But getting back to the nitty gritty, I thought it was a very good week 1. We've got all the stats already, all the standings and whatnot, so we're going to go talk about those in just a minute here. I do want to talk about, before we get to all that stuff real fast, I want to address the preseason MVP rankings that was thrown around a bit on the around the wiffle ball world here at OC Wiffleball. I'm not clear as to what news outlet or who produced this graphic. Obviously, it wasn't from us. It wasn't from our show. But I do want to take a look at it, and I'll have it up in front of you guys for the video. But here it is. Joey Ponder at the very top of this preseason MVP odds list, and it goes all the way down. The Purple Huskies guys are at the top. You got a few guys, notable names in the middle, and then you've got at plus 10,000 any player from the LA Wiffles of OC, which is absolutely outrageous. I'm not sure how you don't include Steven Hayden, who was the MVP of last season, or Jordan Drexler in there whatsoever. So not sure what to think about that. I want to get your thoughts about this, Steven, after seeing this little graphic that was produced.
It's all in good fun. We appreciate it. I'm not quite as angry as Justin is over here, but it's yet to be seen whether I'll be the MVP or not. Based off the stats, it looks likely, but we'll see when that's announced, and when all the other awards are announced. That'll be released to the public. I did tell Joey if I do win the MVP, I want him to hand me my award. So that's going to happen. Joey's he's poked some fun at us. He poked some fun on the OC Wiffleball Instagram for getting knocked out of the playoffs and not making the World Series. And then you correctly pointed out that we knocked him out the previous season and that he wasn't in the World Series either this season. So at least we have a title to our name, whereas he does not. But What I saw from him the first week, he was looking good out there. He gave us some runs, but overall, he did have a very good first week. If I do say so myself, Joey Ponder, 3 2/3 innings pitched, 4 strikeouts, 5 runs. I think it was that 4th inning he started giving up more runs, and the Avocados ended up getting around to him. But hitting wise, he was doing great. He was doing great out there. Had 2 home runs, if I'm not mistaken. Was at over 500 on base percentage in the game. So he's trying to back it up, and so we'll see if he's able to. But see some of the list. I mean, you can just see a list of some of the better guys in this league. You have like True Hendrickson, Dylan Hoffman, Tyler Moore in there, and we have more names obviously as you go along. So, I guess we're what if hypothetically what do you think would be the odds if you were to actually rank me and Jordan in this list?
Well, before I put you guys there, I mean, talk about last season, Joey Ponder. Yes, he was in the early conversation for MVP, but quickly fell off of that.
It ended before the first week started.
Exactly. So, sure, you can put those odds back up there if you want to, but I'm pretty sure that may fall down. But I mean, he is. Yeah, you're not wrong. He is off to a pretty good start. That's exactly what happened last season. So, lightning doesn't strike twice in the same place, but who knows? It could very much well go back down. If anything, I'd put to fix this a little bit. I put Stephen Hayden probably at the top, right next to Dylan Hoffman. Maybe True Hendrickson might be pushed down, maybe 1 slot down there. I'd put maybe in front of True Hendrickson or after True Hendrickson. I put Jordan Drexler in there right after that. And then I think Tyler Moore is a good fit to be in that spot over Drake Hoffman, actually. So he'd be my next guy after Jordan. And then I'd put Lucas Sardo actually after that. Then Drake Hoffman, and then, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Every other guy down there. But yeah, that's just my thoughts about where I would put you guys.
I know that plus 750 for Hayden Hendrickson is looking good. 3-time home run derby champion, I should say. And it has hit very well, and is also playing with Dylan Hoffman this year. We'll see how that makes up. But that's the best. I mean, that's the best. Some of the best odds I'm seeing on this list. Even Anthony Agrusa at plus 2,000 isn't a bad bet. But I like that plus 750 of Hayden Hendrickson. I think he's got a real chance of being an MVP, but especially with the way that he started this season as well. It took on Shepherd's Pie. He had a very good game against them. Didn't give up a single run in his 2 innings pitched. Had 3 strikeouts, and then hitting wise, I think he may have only gotten out 1 time or so. Yes, only had 6 plate appearances, 3 hits, 2 walks. Only got out once, starting off with a 750 average. So he's off to an even harder start than Joey.
Yeah, for sure. Hayden has been in that conversation for a very long time. I think last season, I should say, it was maybe mostly overshadowed by the fact that he's on the same team with Drake and True. So,
and plus he had me playing.
Right, and that as well. So, but Hayden has been up there in batting wise for many seasons, actually. I mean, obviously he's been a home run champion 3 times, home run derby champion 3 times. He's got a couple awards to show for it, and the pitching is starting to work out for him a little bit. It started off pretty well for him earlier this week, so we'll see how things kind of just go down the road. But yeah, absolutely. So I mean, I guess we can kind of deeper dive now into these week 1 regular season stuff. And just talk about everything that happened in week 1, and then just kind of talk about all these teams, all these newer teams, and where everyone kind of stands at the very end. And obviously we'd like to start off with the very first game of the day. So looks like the first game on our docket here is the OC Wiffles of LA, who, by the way, is the second team that we created with Ethan Lee, James Lee, Joaquin Jimenez, Dominic Caroni, and then we actually got 2 free agents on that team. So we had a chance to meet those guys. They're pretty cool group of dudes. It's a father and a son duo, David and Evan Kuraz, if I'm saying that correctly. So that's the roster for the second team, and they took on the team that beat the LA Wolves of OC in the summer, in the playoffs, the Trash Pandas, in that game, and they didn't fare so well in the very early goings of it. But Trash Pandas took this one with their very first victory, 8-2.
Trash Pandas were down a few guys, only had 3 guys there. That being the Swanson brothers, Andrew and Ryan Swanson, and then Blake Fitzgerald. Those are the 3 they had there. No Wright, no Michael Haskup, no Brian Workman for them. It was what I saw was a relatively close game throughout the game, and then once you got the 5th inning, it was a 3-2 game. They scored 5 runs in the 5th inning. Things kind of fell apart a little bit. James Lee was pitching very well on the mound. I believe he came out in the 3rd or 4th inning, and during that 5th inning is when the Trash Pandas started getting some runs together. Brett ended up bringing up 5 runs. Now the OC Wiffles of LA, it's going to be a learning process for them, especially this first week or two. Get 2 games in that first week is big for them. Just trying to learn the style of play. Guys like James and Joaquin, they've never played with these type of balls, or with these. That sounds wild because they're 15, or with the speed limit, or with the close distance, or anything like that. So it's going to take some time for them to adjust. Dominic's being the captain for the first time. He's learning on the job. Ethan is being more prominent role in the plate, at the plate and on the mound as well. And then Evan and David, sometimes you don't know what you're getting, but they look good out there. Especially in the second game, they look good. The first game, there weren't really a whole lot of hits from the OC Wiffles of LA, but good start for the Trash Pandas. They continue on some of their good season from last year. They take advantage of a new team, and they win their first game 8-2.
Yeah, a very young team, of course. Joaquin and James are the new guys coming in from SoCal Wiffleball. Ethan and Dominic Caroni, obviously they're the guys who have a little more experience in that team because they've been there for a couple of seasons now. Dominic Caroni, obviously, is the oldest individual on that team. He's right around the same age as Steven and I, but he was there for the team captain option and kind of running things down there a little bit. The whole idea, for the most part, for the OC Wiffles LA was to give those 2 guys more opportunities to do things like pitching, give them a little more space to kind of, do some new things. And obviously, it's going to be, it's still early, but it's part of the process of being able to adjust and learn the game a little bit with the pitching now that they have the ability to do so. And then, for James and Joaquin, they use a different type of, way of pitching. The wiffle balls that they use are more scratched up, and they have, different speed that they have to adjust to, from a faster velocity to a slower velocity, being 62 miles per hour. But it looked like James Lee really started to figure things out. 14 Ks, 7.3 innings pitched between the 2 games. So it looked like out of the 2 guys from the SoCal Whiff so far, James is looking like he's figured it out. And if you want to check out some of those highlights, you can actually go check out his Instagram at James Lee Stuff on Instagram and see that video that he actually put up himself. He had a camera going the entire time, so he's got all the highlights and stuff and whatnot. So probably I'll try to post some more of that stuff on the LA Wiffles OC Instagram whenever I get the chance. But it seems like he's more of the social media dude for their team. But this wasn't their first game. They do have 2 games on their schedule, so we'll kind of get to that a little bit later. But and
James is pitching very well at 8 strikeouts in this game, I believe. We have either 7 or 8 strikeouts in this game, not allowing many runs. Well, he was actually very close to being to playing with me on the other Wiffles of OC, but just with the numbers and things like that, I thought it would be best to let him be that number 1 pitcher on another team. And he's practiced a lot, as well as Joaquin. They've both been working on, even with Ethan as well. They've been working on their pitching. And James has a lot of natural talent with this. Go check out his Instagram. You can see a lot of the pitches that he throws and just how disgusting he is as a pitcher. But you know, it'll take some time for them to get used to this style, and for Trash Pandas, they're used to the style. They're big hitters, and they didn't have the best hitting game, but that fifth inning they came through and created some separation.
Right, and I know, yeah, most of their main three guys who were part of that team that took out Wiffles of OC in the playoffs last season, I was talking to, I believe, Andrew Swanson, who did say that Mo Wright and Michael Haskell, who were basically the top two guys on their team last season, were out of town, and then obviously the plus one more. So they didn't have all of their guys there, but they managed to do their job. And for OC Wiffles LA, for James Lee and Joaquin to be together, they do play on the same tournament team, so it was kind of a good fit for them to be on the same squad together to kind of learn that process a little bit. And they do stand out there on the field because they're younger dudes and they're extremely skinny. My goodness. But yeah, anyways, okay. I'd like to keep this, in the same division as we're talking about this, so we're not confusing a lot of people at the point where we're at, so it'll be easier to kind of compartmentalize these in the video. So we'll stick with Division 1 right now, and once we're done with that, we'll go down to Division 2, and then we'll talk about the Purple League games. So keep it on the same track. You've got the Wiffles of OC returning this season. They've got a couple of new faces on their team. I want to say Jordan Drexler and our new guy, Dustin Staggs, who was just on the show, were not there. So it was Justin Lee. We had a sub in Christopher Lee, Dylan Manny making a return, Stephen Hayden, and Greg Gualtieri, who was a former Wise Guys player, is returned back with the Wiffles of OC. And they took on the defending World Series champs of summer 2023 in the Beach City Bombers. Now, this was actually kind of a rematch from week 1 from the summer season, where the Beach City Bombers absolutely, ran away with the score a little bit in that game. This time, it's flipped the script, but a little bit closer than I think a lot of people looked at it. But Beach City Bombers did not have Zach Moore there during this game, but the final score in this game was 6-2. Wiffles of OC get the dub.
Yeah, both teams were missing guys. I think we were missing probably a little bit more, given the fact we were missing 2 really really good players. We'll see how good Dustin is in this league, but for them not having Zach Moore hurt them, especially with the offense. It was very difficult pitching in that game, looking directly into the sun while you're trying to hit the zone. So that was a difficult part as well, but. Right away, Tyler Moore gets a solo home run in the first inning. Then I answer right back, hit a 3-run homer in the second inning, and after that was kind of we were pretty much in control of the game. I pitched my 3 innings. The only one I gave was that solo home run. And really, in my opinion, the player of the week for any division would be what Greg Gualtieri did. 8 plate appearances. 4 hits, 3 walks, a home run, a couple triples, a single, and also pitching wise, pitched 3 innings, only allowed 1 run, had 5 strikeouts. Was pitching very well in his return back. He hasn't played with the Wise Guys in a couple seasons. The spring he was out, and then the summer the Wise Guys weren't around, so he didn't play. But he was doing some great things out there, and it's a good problem to have for me, to have so many guys that are able to pitch. Obviously, you have me, you have what Greg showed a lot there in his return. I wasn't sure how he would do in his time away, how much that would affect him. You have Jordan as well, and then we'll see how much Dustin pitches. How is he able to get used to this style of ball? The same thing with what we were saying about James and Joaquin. For the Beach City Bombers, they were trying to make things happen. I think a little too much offensively. They were taking some swings at some pitches that weren't as close. Just the discipline wasn't quite there. And then I had my 3-run homer that kind of broke things open in the second inning. Dylan Menji with a 2-run homer, and Greg with a home run as well in the 5th inning. So good start there for the Wiffles of OC. They played each other in the first week of the summer season. It was a 4-1 game. in favor of the Beach City Bombers. They went on to win the World Series, so who knows? This could be the start for us.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really good start. Anytime you can start off the season with a victory, and Greg Gualtieri finally coming back to the previous form that he had with the Wise Guys, so he's going to be a really big asset for this Wiffles of OC team. But as I'm looking at this stat sheet, it doesn't look like the Beach City Bombers have their stats updated properly, if I'm looking at this right, because I know for sure Tyler Moore did get a home run in this game. That's how they got those runs on the board. But I don't have those stats there, but I mean, I'm sure we'll see it later on. But interesting start for the Beach City Bombers. They got the same roster of guys that they had in that World Series as well. So, they're just trying to get back to the form, not calling, championship slump yet. It's still really early for that type of thing. But, for guys like Greg, really good job. And for Steven and Greg to be pitching on that mound, the field was right at the onset of when the sun was going down, so the sun was directly right in the pitcher's face. So just maybe a little game of memorization or just getting a feel for it. The sun did play a factor a little bit because you're looking straight into it. But also the other big part was trusting that defense. I believe the outfield had at least 5 or 6 caught pop flies out in the outfield, minus the home run that Tyler gave hit, because that one was way gone. But very good start for the Wiffles of OC, and it's a really good start as compared to a season ago when they lost to the Beach City Bombers in that game. And then came away with a victory against the Trash Pandas in that second game in that doubleheader for that week 1. But it's a very good start for the Wiffles of OC.
It was nice to have someone on our team besides me actually hit. I see Justin Lee still continuing the tradition of not hitting the first week. Did not have a single hit in 7 plate appearances, so hopefully he can improve on that.
Yeah, it's an adjustment thing, so that we everyone's got to work on.
That's called just get better.
Right, exactly. So you can call me out as much as you want on that, but I'm gonna make a push for that as soon as we get back to week 2. So, but let's stick to the same track that we got here with Division 1 stuff. We get to the second game now that the OC Wiffles of LA will participate on this day. They take on the Avocabros, and what we know about the Avocabros is that if anytime you're playing them, the score is going to be really big, and really big score sheet it was. The Avocabros won 17-13 in what was a really, really lengthy game. I believe this game went on for almost at least somewhat over an hour. At least that's what it felt like for the majority of the game. Steven and I, obviously finishing our game and, watching their first game, and then came over and watched this game. Avocabros got their 4 main guys back, but this one it was pretty back and forth for the most part up until the 6th inning.
Lot of walks in this game. It was a situation. James Lee was actually pitching good for the OC Wiffles of LA. But just in this game, Joaquin didn't have it as much as he did in the first game. Ethan Lee didn't have it, and even ended up testing Dominic a little bit, and David Kyrgios ended up facing one batter and getting a strikeout in there. So he's got a 0 ERA. He's got the lowest ERA on the team technically, but just a lot of walks, a little bit of back and forth between the teams, but. Overall, it was a close game. Joaquin had a home run in this game. James Lee with a couple doubles in here. Ethan Lee with a triple and a double as well. Evan also getting in there with a double. But like we said, it's going to be an adjustment period for these for that team. Avocabros, they were patient at the plate. They were trailing going to the 5th inning and then scoring 10 runs in the 5th inning to make it a 17-13 ball game. They were able to hold on until the end there. So they did what they needed to win, and they were able to take care of the job in their first game of the season against a new team.
Yeah, like we said, it's still early in the season, especially for a young group of guys like the OC Wiffles of LA. They're gonna have to adjust to it, now that they're behind by 2 games now, at the very bottom of the standings currently. But Avocado Bros did a good job, pitching wise and getting the bats that they always do. So 17-3, the final score. They look like a lot of their guys were, back in a good shape. There was a little bit of frustration on that field a little bit, but I think it was also just kind of, coming with the time, being a little bit overextended a bit in this game. So, Lucas Sardo was the home run leader last season, already back up to ship shape with 2 home runs in this, and we'll talk about their second game later on in a bit. But it's early goings for OC Wiffleball LA, and they have got themselves in a hole. But that comes with time to adjust to things that are brand new.
Yeah, and I believe Lucas Soto had his 2 home runs in the second game. I don't believe there like I said, there weren't a whole lot of hits in this game here, despite the fact that it was high scoring. So it made it take a while. There was some great commentary going on. That's one thing I'll give to Joey Ponder, is he's up there in the commentary MVP. It would be close between guys like me and you and him, but he was right up there. He was giving some great commentary while James was recording. See how the OC was LA. They bounce back. Whether Joaquin's able to be, or Ethan's, which one is going to be that consistent second guy, pitching wise, or if they roll with 3, which James kind of established himself as that number 1 right now. So we'll see what happens for the future.
Yeah, so that's just something we've got to keep an eye out for, and then it's a new group of guys, so it'll just take a little bit of time. Yes, Joey Ponder did a really good job of commentating a bit, maybe a little bit of Volga in there, but I think everyone was just kind of having fun, trying to keep the ante up a little bit. With the lengthier gamers and such. So, but I think we can move on to the second game the Avocados played, which was against the Purple Huskies. So this is their very first game. The Purple Huskies coming off a World Series loss in the summer of 2023 season, coming in here against the Avocados, who had a high-powered offense. Obviously, the majority of that was walks, but like you said, Lucas Sardo had his 2 home runs in this game, but it wasn't enough to push the Avocados to the second win. So they do fall to the Purple Huskies, and the Purple Huskies are right on the same track as they did last season, going undefeated in the regular season, and undefeated yet still. Here they are.
Big switch up there for the Purple Huskies. They lose Shaden Hendrickson, but they add a couple guys. Also lose Nick. There's no Nick Escalera there, from what I saw from the first week either. But they add Tyler Gold officially to their lineup. They add guys like Joey Ponder and Kyle Froome to their team as well. Which Joey got the start for them. He was looking good till that 3rd inning or 4th inning he was pitching. And then you still have guys like True and Drake who can go in there and pitch. Drake Hoffman with a couple home runs. Also True and Joey, all 3 of them had 2 home runs each. 10 hits in total in the game for the team. Drake Hoffman leading the way with a single, a double, and 2 homers in the game. Offensively, things were looking pretty good for them. Drake Hoffman didn't pitch in this game. He's trying to do the same. Looks like he's trying to do the same strategy as last year, is be 3rd on their team in innings and try to have the lowest ERA in the league. So we'll see. We'll see if that works out for him this summer, being the MVP. Not the MVP, I should say. The Cy Young winner. True Hendrickson. He took a backseat to Joey in that first game, kind of letting Joey go. I thought that was an interest. I thought that was big of truth for him to be able to do that and just let Joey kind of do his thing. I know Joey wanted to be more of have more of that pitcher role, and Drew allowed him to, and they ended up securing the game anyway. So Avocados, and they start hitting the ball more. That's where Lucas Sardo had his 2 home runs. You had guys like Nick Faltris was hitting well as well. Had a home run in there. Hayden Hager with a couple home runs. At the end of the day, I think a lot of the runs were scored in the 4th inning there for the Avocados, but not enough to be able to get their second victory on the day. Now they sit at 1-1, while the Purple Huskies move to 1-0.
Yeah, and for the Avocabros, the theme for the last couple seasons have been just kind of about that big bats, but not consistent enough pitching and whatnot. So, and against a team like the MS Warriors, who did come off an undefeated season, the Purple Huskies coming back here in an undefeated season. They're trying to get back on the same track as they did last year and try to make a return back to the World Series. And then obviously, they don't have Shaden Hendrickson, who's in there. They brought back the guy who subbed in for Shaden in the World Series, which is Tyler Gold. So he made his appearance and debut of this season as a rookie. So maybe a guy to watch out for. That guy is extremely built, by the way. But for the Avocabros, hopefully they can change that theme a little bit in the way we think about their team, about the bats and the pitching. I'm sure that's something that they're gonna continuously work on. But the bats are there for them, and they have a very good formula of what they do on the batting side. Hopefully they have a guy who can help them out a little bit with the pitching and make a really big step up this season. Obviously, for myself, was not around for this game, so you were seeing a lot of what was happening in this. So it sounded like the bats were kind of the way to go in this game.
Well, yeah. The Purple Huskies, they got started quickly. They had like 6 runs in the first inning, I believe. Kind of coasted on that for a bit until the Avocabros started scoring runs in the 4th inning. That's when True had to come in the game and relieve Joey Ponder. But good starts from both teams. Maybe not. I mean, you lose Shaden and you get Kyle and Joey. Maybe you're not seeing quite as strong as you were the previous year. I mean, not that World Series loss to the Beach City Bombers was a crusher to those guys. Maybe they thought they had to do something different. But based off what I saw so far, I'm not really gonna. I don't think we're really gonna see any undefeated teams. I don't think the Purple Huskies are going undefeated again. That's just my opinion. I think they're a couple of teams that have a good opportunity to beat them, and they almost lost a couple games last year. We were close with them, but I think it's up there for who could be that number 1 seed. Beach City Bombers could still be up there. The Wiffles of OC looked really good from their first game. While Purple Huskies Trash Pandas were missing most of their guys, while Purple Huskies did look good, I think it could be a question mark of who's going to be that top seed as we go into the playoffs, and whether it's something you want or not. We just saw the Wiffles of OC or OC Wiffleball in the tournament. They were the 1 seed and they won the tournament. So we'll see. I think this could be a very interesting Division 1.
Yeah, and I mean that's just kind of good. That's basically what the theme is going to be for this entire season for Division 1, is that the whole point and the fact that it's a more competitive division with the type of talent allocation that all of these teams have. And we'll talk about a little preview here once we get to the MS Warriors, because they have a lot of guys in there that have really good talent. They picked up a guy who has really good talent from a familiar team that we knew from a couple of seasons ago. But yeah, for Division 1, it's going to be a lot tougher for a team like the Purple Huskies to hold on to that title of the undefeated season. Beach City Bombers won the World Series. They might have a tough time, but it could I think for the most part it's probably up there for grabs for the majority, and that's what we'll see this season. But I think that's kind of what we're trying to see as a trend here. I believe that's just the type of division that this will be, rather than maybe Division 2, where things might be a little bit more top-sided and some teams down at the the sediment soil and whatnot. So I think that's just kind of the running theme that's happening here. So with that being said, though, I do with the next game, the MS Warriors, you look at the roster that they've got. Obviously, we know Dylan Hoffman. They picked up Shaden Henderson, so he moved over from the Purple Huskies to the MS Warriors. They brought back Garrett Munoz. They picked up a new guy, Matt Hornich, who was on Anthony Agrusa's team a season ago, making the switch over to the MS Warriors. So that's a big, huge move for them. And then a name that's brand new to OC Wiffleball, but a name that you and I both know very well, Nathan Beckley, coming in here, a guy I met in the SoCal Mavericks. I know you may have known him before that, but guy with a baseball experience, trying to play some college ball in there, and they looks like they have a good roster. They're taking on what looks like is a new team, but it's not a new team. This is kind of the gag that Anthony has been kind of running for a few seasons now, switching the team name and stuff and whatnot. So switching from the Goat Hill Pitchers is what their team name was last season, and now they're now calling themselves Shepherd's Pie. They came in here looking for a new theme of things here. So Anthony with a new look team, and the MS Warriors with a really talented roster. This game 7-2, your final score. MS Warriors take the dub, and they are right back on there on the winning track.
Yeah, Matt Hornich, he does play with Anthony in the Purple League as well, so they still do play together. They played together with the confirm the team name. They do play together on the Sheeps with each other. But there have been rumors about Matt Hornich going over to the MS Warriors to play with Dylan Hoffman for a couple seasons, really since Matt first joined the league. It looks like it's finally happened, and a little closer game than I thought it would be, especially given the rosters. However, and especially given the fact I was missing a couple guys such as Ethan Raffman and Trevor Bushy out there. Evan White, Nicholas Tone. They also had a sub out there. I'm blanking on his name right now, but it looks like their pitching stats haven't been updated. But hitting wise, Dylan was able to do his thing. Keep the hitters off balance. He pitched 4 innings. Only gave up two. He only gave up two runs in the game, with 10 strikeouts in 4 innings. And hitting wise for the MS Warriors, Shane Hendrickson off to a great start. 3 hits on the day, a single, 2 singles and a double. Matt Hornich getting some hits in there as well. Had a walk, a home run, a single, and a double for him as well. You still have guys a guy in there like Garrett Munoz, who's been didn't have his best hitting day yesterday, the first week, but he did have a couple walks, find a way on base, play some good defense and things like that. MS Warriors are looking a little bit better than last year. They have a little more established of a second pitcher. Joey, it's still to be determined if he's a consistently reliable second pitcher. But they have Shaden back. Last time they had Shaden, this team was the number 1 seed. They almost went undefeated through the whole season until they lost the last game of the regular season, and then they lost to the other Wiffles of OC in the championship round, as the other Wiffles of OC went on to win their championship, which is still right behind me, by the way, from the earlier part of the interview. That plaque is still behind me. I just wanted to note that. But little bit closer game than I thought it would be. I think the Shepherd's Pie could be a sneaky team in there, especially once you get Ethan Raffman, a guy who can really hit the ball really well and just find a way on base. Often leads the league in walks. Anthony looked good on the mound, and we'll see what happens. But MS Warriors off to a good start and looking like contenders right now.
Yeah, and for you and I, it's not unfamiliar some of the guys that Anthony's got on his team this season with Shepherd's Pie. We had a little preview of some of them from the Summer Classic. Got to see, kind of their pitching style and their hitting and whatnot. Would love to talk about the pitching stats a little bit, but looked like Shepherd's Pie. Yeah, like you said, it wasn't updated yet. But Dylan Hoffman already back to his, Cy Young form, as always, with 10 Ks. 2 earned runs and an ERA of 3.00 and a 15 K per 9. The number, as we've seen from the last few seasons, as a trend is always, kind of gone down and remain consistent. His style of pitching is a lot different than a lot of other people who mostly pitch righty for the most part, but guys like Dylan and Drake are pitch lefty, and we see that they have an effectiveness against a lot of different hitters, and especially they have experience in pitching. Obviously the family bloodline in there with the Hoffmans, and that's just kind of the way we seen the Hoffman brothers for the most part. But having Shaden and Hendrickson in there as their second guy is a really big pickup for them, and then now they have a loaded roster with the bats in there. They have a really good look roster, and they're a perfect example of what Division I teams look like, and the kind of talent that you have in there. And don't discredit the Shepherd's Pie. I think they have got a lot of really good talent on that roster, and they'll adjust to the speed. And Anthony obviously is the guy on there who would be the the highest ceiling factor on their squad. But yeah, really good outlook for both of those teams. Obviously MS Warriors came away with the victory in that game, but I expect Shepherd's Pie to be that sneaky team, like you said. I think they'll be kind of that sneaky squad in there as well.
Yeah, it's going to be a couple teams in there that could be in that battle for that last one or two playoff spots in total. Really, you look at this. Any of these teams you could see being in the playoffs. OC Wiffles of LA. I know that they're just getting used to the style. Had a tough second game. Shepherd's Pie could be in there depending on the competition they play, depending on who and when they play and who's hot at the right time. And you have some of the top teams who have been perennial playoff teams for the past couple seasons, looking to remain that way as well. And you have some surprise in there, like the Trash Pandas. We'll see what they're able to do. Are they going to rise from last year, or are they going to fall a little bit from last year? We'll see what happens when they have all their guys.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I'm sure they'll be present for the most part. We've seen them have a few absences from a few games in the summer season, but everyone's got their kind of schedule that they got to figure out. That's just everyone's got their own lives outside of OC Wiffleball. No one's like super focused about wiffle ball as a lifestyle type of thing. It's more of just a recreational thing. But Division I is a very competitive group
Except for me.
of teams. Yeah, I know you doing this day in day out. So SoCal Wiff.
Yeah, between multiple leagues and tournaments and stuff like that. Pretty much. I wish.
Yeah, you show off. Anyway. That concludes all of our talk for Division 1, as Steve is giving me the dirty look there. And we can move on to the Division 2. So this is kind of where the unfamiliarity comes in a little bit. We do have an inside guy giving us some preview of this stuff, not for this week, but maybe for the future. But Division 2 is where we see some of those new teams, and there are, a lot of familiar teams returning back into Division 2. I believe the reason why they're in Division 2 was based off of, the record that they finished with in the summer season, and they were just placed there for that reason for the most part. But, let's talk about these teams a little bit. We'll start off with the first game that we've got. The 47ers, whose logo looks like the brand 47, I believe that's based off of. And then we got the OC Seals, who we did talk about in the Summer Classic tournament as a team ran by Ryan Lavelle. He's got his group of guys, and we saw them play a little bit in that tournament. They have some baseball prospects who are going to Cal Poly and USC. They got some guys who came back from the previous team, Angel Hernandez Strike Zone, in there. So this is a new look team. They got some really nifty looking jerseys if you haven't seen them. But this is a group of guys who have a really high ceiling as a team. Maybe a potentially team that could make their way into Division 1 for next season if they, continue to win on their part. But they were off to a really good start in this game. 12-2 the final score against the 47ers.
Yeah, from what I saw in both their games, Zach Island, new player. Ryan talked about him. It looks like he's going to be able to do great things, especially on the mound here. Didn't allow a run in either game. I was talking with. We'll talk more about the Whoosh game in a little bit. But for this game, OC Seals, they got some great offense with them as well. It could have been a fringe Division 1, Division 2 team. But Braden Salzman off to a great start, batting .692 to start off the year. You got even Ryan Lavelle starting with a .533 average. These guys are getting. These guys are really hitting the ball. They're continuing on from that Summer Classic, in which they made it to the semifinals before unfortunately losing to the eventual champions. These guys, I think they're one of the top 3 teams in this division too. Them along with teams such as Whoosh and Wiffle D's, and even Bad News Stingers as well. We'll talk more about them in a bit. OC Seals look really good. 47. It's their first time out. They're figuring things out. David Uribe did have a good game in this one. 5 at bats, 3 hits, 2 singles, and a double here, bringing his average up to 600 to start off the year. But and then on the mound, both David and Ulysses had a 12 ERA, I should say. Ulysses pitching 4 innings, giving up 8 runs, and David pitching 2 innings, giving up 4 runs. I mean, in 47, it doesn't look too bad. They played one of the tougher teams. I think this could be a sneaky playoff team that people could be underestimating a little bit. And you don't bring your A game or B plus game against them, they could take it from you.
Right. Yeah, we got a really good preview of what they look like, a bit, and the stat sheet is really, it looks like it's really inflated, but that's just the kind of talent that this team has got and what kind of guys Ryan Lavelle was able to recruit for their squad. Salzman 4 home runs, and Ireland with 3 home runs, and then Lavelle, the team captain, with 2 home runs to start off this day. And we'll talk about their second game in just a second here, but they're a team to really look out for, I think, in this league. Not much to really say because I'm not really familiar with those guys on the 47ers. Eventually we'll probably get to know those guys a bit. If we get to see them, or if we, Division 1 and Division 2, eventually we'll have some games between each other as like an interdivisional thing. But it'll be interesting to see, how the OC Seals kind of develop in Division 2 and what's kind of, coming together in that cauldron that we call Division 2 with a lot of those guys in there. So it's a good preview of what their team's going to look like. We want to see a little bit more competitiveness, and that's what we kind of got actually in their second game that they played against Whoosh. Whoosh coming back this season with basically the same group of guys that they've got. Don LeCompte, Ryan Miller, one of the board members on OC Wiff. Nick Yusuf with a really, really good season during the summer. It looked like he wasn't present for this game. And then there is a couple of newer guys in there as well. So I'm sure you have more insight about that. But for this game, OC Seals between Whoosh, this game was really, really close. It looked like 15-13 the final score. Whoosh take this victory, and the OC Seals go to 1-1.
This is what we talk about with the Seals. Me hearing and paying attention to this game. At one point, the Seals are winning 10-0 in this game. Actually. Zach Ireland pitches 4 innings, had a lot of strikeouts, didn't give up a single run, and then it looked like when Brian Barnes came in, Whoosh was able to get a lot of runs across. Even Ryan Lavelle came in for a little bit, gave up 3 runs, didn't record an out. But that kind of led to the downfall of the Seals in this game. They ended up giving up 15 runs. Whoosh only had 3 guys on the day with Don LeCompte, Owen Schur, and Ryan Miller were there. They were able to come back from a 10-0 deficit and take the dub here. Two of the top teams in this division. Kind of a big deciding. It's got to see with the OCC has got the second pitcher. And for Whoosh, they're missing a couple of their big guys. No Nick Yusuf was there. Drew Plant is coming back after a season gone. He's arguably their best pitcher on their team. So that Whoosh could be a very dangerous team, and right now I believe they sit at the top of the standings. So that match between these two teams could determine a lot for seedings as we get down to the final weeks. But big comeback from Whoosh to get that first win.
Right, and for Whoosh, as we'll see later down the road. If you look at the stat sheet, it looks like their numbers are really, really inflated. But for Whoosh, they have a lot of experience on that team, and there could be some really hidden talent on that squad as well. That are those guys consistently coming year in, year out, every season, and playing their hearts out a bit. And then for the OC Seals, they get their first taste of a loss. We know what kind of talent that they've got. But, yeah, for this game, that's kind of this is the preview of that kind of big matchup that would really matter later down the road, if we continue to talk about OC Seals and Whoosh in that top seeding conversation for the playoffs, because they score a lot of runs. They've got really good talent. The stats, just even alone in week one was really big for them, for both of their teams. So expect them to do really good things this season, and we'll keep a really, really tight eye on what their team will look like. Because again, the way it plays out in Division One, Division Two teams, depending on which team end up in the very top spots, they have a really good chance of getting into Division One to replace some of those Division One teams that do finish in the lower seedings of the standings. So it's a good preview of what we might see in the future for Division One. But for the
with Whoosh, they got that LA Wiffles of OC blood in them. I've called them the B team before, and now we actually have a second team, so they can. Since they're Division Two, they can be the C team right now. They have a lot of guys that used to play with me, as I'm sure I've mentioned before. Guys like Don Lecomte, Ryan Miller. Owen Sure hasn't played in this league with me. He's played baseball with me. You have Nick Yusoff as well, who started off his career in this league at the LA Wiffles of OC. The second game really kind of inflated their stats a little more. We'll talk more about that'll be the last Division Two game we talk about. But it was a good comeback from them in that first game. Some teams could try to sneak in there to get some of those players if possible. But that's a pretty close knit group. I'm not sure people are going to want to take away too many of those, or they're really going to want to leave that team. But that could be a team you see in Division. I thought that team would be in Division One, to be honest. But that could be a team you see in Division One next year, or at the winter time. I mean,
I think that's said and true as well, especially for those guys in there who have been in this league for a while. So maybe those are just a little bit of a motivation piece for them to kind of push up for that Division One spot for next season in the winter time. Once we get to down the road, so. Right, like we said, we'll see, where things end up with Whoosh, and obviously they're off to a really, really good start, and we'll talk about them just in a few minutes. But before that, we gotta talk about the next game, which is the Bad News Dingers versus Wiffle D's. Both these teams are returning from a season ago. Wiffle D's, their inaugural season during the summer. Bad News Dingers have been around for a very long time. Their team captain being Joe Reese. Guy with the mustache in there. It looked like he clean shaven a little bit, if I saw in this game. When I took a look at this game a bit, Wiffle D's, their team who came back in here, looks like they got the same group of guys as well. They got the Garza brothers coming back. It looks like there's 3 of them now. My goodness. So there's for them. So for this game, this one was actually a pretty close game between these two teams. Bad News Dingers taking their first victory of the season, 8-6 the final score.
Yeah, might be the result kind of surprised me a little bit. Might be the surprise result of the week, in my opinion. For Wiffle D's, Chris Garza had a great day at the plate. 2 hits, 3 walks, couple singles in there. Just working his way on base a lot, but the Bad News Dingers, the pitching was great for them. Joe Reese, 4 innings, 7 Ks, 4 runs allowed, and then Shane McCoy with 2 innings pitched, 5 strikeouts, and 2 runs allowed. But doing very well on the mound there. That's when they're able to keep this. When that's a team when you keep if they keep the score low, they got a very good shot. And even at the plate, Nick Costello with a 500 average, 2 singles and a home run in the game. Also, Shane McCoy getting a home. Only had 1 hit, but that hit was a home run for him. So we'll see how this team does in the future. I would have chosen Wiffle D's to win this game relatively handily, but that's why you play the games. You want to make sure you want to see what happens, and who knows what Bad Dingers will be able to do now with the Division Two. They'll be able to rack up some more wins, and they can push. They can push for that to be one of the top 4 seeds, especially. But so far so good for them. Off to a good start as they sit as one of the only 2 undefeated teams so far in Division Two. We haven't seen Brothers of Bash yet, but good start from Bad News Dingers against one of the tougher teams in Wiffle D's, who they did well at the tournament. They got knocked out by the OC Seals in the OC Summer Classic, but Wiffle D's at one point they were 2-1 in the tournament, and then they proceeded to lose 3 straight games. So we'll see how they're able to bounce back. I think they'll be. I think they'll be all right, but with this result, it makes things a little bit more questionable.
Right, for both of these teams, they kind of have the same look rosters that they did during the summer. You got the Garza brothers, and then you got Humphreys and Costello, Yakovlev in there for the Bad News Dingers, and they've been around for a very long time. So they're a team who I think they're just kind of there to have fun a little bit, but they're still a competitive group of guys. So I don't discount their team whatsoever. And this is maybe that other big matchup potentially in Division Two between these two teams. So they're in a bracket that has less competition than Division One, but always when you have a team of guys who are willing to just play, it'll be a competitive game, as always. They were supposed to play a second game down the schedule, and I'm not sure, and I don't know if you have the insight on this or not, but they were supposed to play the Brothers of Bash, but it looks like their game didn't go whatsoever. So I'm not sure if Brothers of Bash just didn't show up, but it looked like it didn't count for the standings. So potentially this game might be rescheduled to a different time. Do you have any word or news about that game whatsoever?
Yeah, I'm sure it'll probably be rescheduled. I mean, they didn't. Red Smash didn't play a game yesterday. I think maybe it was unexpected that they weren't there, but things happen. They probably let Anthony know a little like right before it started and stuff like that. So things happen, but we'll see how Brothers of Bash does when they play in this coming Tuesday in their first game.
Yeah, I don't seem to have their names on here besides one name. This is Brian C. So not sure if that's going to be updated once they make their return. But we know Brothers of Bash. They were the team that faced Wiffles of OC. So us, obviously in the spring season, they made their first playoff appearance ever, and unfortunately lost in a very close game in that divisional game. But they're a familiar team that is in Division 2. They had some issues finding good roster pieces for them, so we'll kind of see what that roster looks like later on, maybe in the next episode, if they do make that return. And then obviously maybe we'll be talking about this game when it's later rescheduled. So we do get back to Whoosh as a team. This is their second game of the day after coming off a victory against OC Seals. This one was a really, really inflated game. Maybe the reason why a guy like Owen has 6 home runs on his stat sheet, which is an insane number alone in week 1. But they take on a brand new team called the Pacific Thrashers. I believe there's a couple of guys on this team from the team from last season in the summer called Angel Hernandez Strike Zone. But this was a new group of guys on there, but they absolutely got blown out of the water. 34-3 is your final score. Whoosh are 2-0. One of those undefeated teams in this bracket, but ahead of the game already in the standings with 2 victories.
You got to see Ryan Miller go in there a bit. He pitched a little bit. The game got a little bit out of hand. Pacific Thrashers, it was one of those. It was the first time for some of those guys playing wiffle ball in general. Even for one of them, it was his first time really swinging a bat much, or he didn't really play baseball and stuff. So they're getting used to it. And Whoosh, I think got to the point they weren't even trying to hit home runs, and they just were. But so you get some inflated numbers and things like that. I'm not sure Owen's ever hit 6 home runs in a season, to be honest, and they got 6 home runs in this first day alone. Donovan with 3 home runs and Ryan with 3 home runs. Just imagine if a guy like Nick Yusoff was there, how many home runs he'd have right now. Mm-hmm. So they're taking a lot of stat leads in terms of Division 2. I mean, Pacific Thrasher, it'll take time for them to figure things out, but Whoosh off to a good start, doing what they need to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Pacific Thrashers. It's a really tough game when you're down by that many runs. 34 runs in total. Allows Whoosh to have a really, really big run differential of 33 plus runs over everybody else in Division 2, which is crazy to think about. And then, the numbers for Pacific Thrashers, like your extremely inflated ERA, Johnny Tosco, 42 ERA, Chad French, 24 ERA, Eric Dillard, 36 ERA. They gave up a ton of runs in this. And like you said, Nick Yusoff, yeah, he probably could have a lot more runs. This game probably could have been way more inflated than it already looks on paper, just going based off of the season ago. But crazy to think that someone already in two games, like Owen Schur has 6 home runs in just 18 at bats and 11 hits in total, like right next to Ryan Miller, who also has 11 hits, but they don't have the most hits. Donald Lecomte does with 13 in all. But this was a really, really lopsided game. And another point to maybe Whoosh could have been that team that should have been put in Division 1. I don't know which team they would potentially swap with. I would probably say either like OC Wiffles of LA, maybe, since they're a newer group of guys. Not a lot of other teams I'd maybe replace that with. Maybe Shepherd's Pie potentially, but Whoosh is really making that statement that maybe they should have been in Division 1. But that's yet to be seen later down the road. But they're really making a push for a statement saying, "Hey, we're the guys who are going to dominate this division."
Yeah, I can't really take much for this game. I mean, we got to remember they were down 10-0 at one point in the very first game, and then without the struggles of the second pitcher for the OCCOs, they probably lose that game by like 6-7 runs. So just a little too early to tell for the LA Wiffles of OC team, but we'll see what happens as we get on to the next few weeks.
Yeah, absolutely, and that'll conclude the Division 2 games and the results and all that. The standings, if you haven't seen them yet, they are on or were on OC Wiffleball's page. You can also find them on the Instagram as well, and the website included, as they always get updated every single week. The stat sheet is really different than what we had a season ago. There's a lot of new numbers on there. I'm sure we'll have an expert kind of comment on exactly a deep dive on those. Unless Stevie, you want to chime in on what specifically some of those numbers are talking about specifically.
I mean, you get a lot of stuff. I mean, obviously you have your basic stuff, such as your average, your on base percentage, and how many hits you have, and things like that. Then you have a lot of, as you go down here, you have a lot of weighted stats, such as your weighted on base percentage, and your weighted. I'm blanking on what the blanket the weighted runs above average and things like that. You got different stuff. You got different stuff like that. It just looks like they're adding some different stuff. So it's just some different for any of the stat nerds. You're able to see some different stats, and you get all the way down to the end. You have isolated power down at the end. So it's just up to people to see what they see any extra stuff. It may not mean, it probably won't mean a lot to a lot of people. You even have stuff in there such as the walk percentage now. That's different from before. So just add some new interest to any of the big stat nerds. You have guys willing to puts it into a certain software, and it gives him all those stats. He's just putting more stats now into the stat sheets now.
Yeah, and then obviously in the very top of the stat sheet you can find the league average numbers on there if you just want to get an idea of where you're standing at, if you're over it or if you're under it. that's kind of there. And then there's league totals as well, specifically for teams as well. So it gives an eye opening of like what you want to see. How do you want to preview some of these teams, what they might look like down the road, and where do they stand compared to the other teams in the other divisions. So if you're looking for that,
you scroll down, you want to see the most eye-opening stat is that somewhat simple at average. You look at Justin Lee with that 0 average.
Right. So we can talk about that for days, but I'm gonna definitely cut that part out of this episode.
You're keeping that in.
No.
You're keeping that in.
No. We'll come back to it later. Hopefully, maybe that'll be a different stat next week. But obviously, like I said, it's just it's something that I've got to work on personally and figure out why the heck I can't freaking hit. Anyways, let's get back to it though. We do need to talk about the co-ed division, the new Purple League, as we like to say. We like to try to include more inclusiveness with diversity and whatnot. This was kind of the idea to have a more leisurely league in there. So not a lot of teams in there, but for the most part, it's just for fun. I think less serious than like Division 1, Division 2. So 4 teams in total in this division. We'll talk about them as we're talking about these results. And we'll start off with the very first one. You've got the Pancake Batters and Wiffle Does, who are... Wiffle Does, okay. Apologize.
Like the animal.
Like the animal. What?
Do you not know what a doe is?
Like a dodo bird?
No. Oh, no.
All right, let's look this up, guys.
You don't know what a doe is.
Like a reindeer? Oh, okay. A reindeer?
It's a deer.
It's a deer. Okay. Doe, a deer, a female
God.
Deer. Okay.
There you go. Finally, I was trying to get you to get to it. Oh my!
I'll keep that part in there. That's funny. So, like I was saying before, we got the Pancake Batters and Wiffle Does, who are affiliated with our friends in Division 2 Wiffle D's. Not sure if I know any of the guys on these teams as well, but these are newer teams, so a little bit of some unfamiliarity as we're getting into these numbers and such not. But this game, the Pancake Batters sweep nearly a shutout in this game against Wiffle Does. 12-1 the final score. Pancake Batters advanced to the first victory ever in their team.
Yeah, Wiffle Does, they do have some familiar players from Wiffle D, such as Chris Garza and Alex Harris. They have those guys that are familiar with the team, but good start there for the Pancake Batters. Especially David Shodman getting off to a great start there. 4 home runs in the game, along with a double in there as well. Good start for the Pancake Batters. Just kind of getting ahead, getting a lot of runs, and surprisingly not allowing a whole lot of runs. Usually, I would expect these games will be a little bit more high scoring for both teams, but not the case in this one, as this one's a 12-1 game.
Right, and we can talk about a little bit. You see some of the names in there. Obviously, adding up to the inclusiveness a little bit with the idea of the co-ed league, adding more mix of male and female in these lineups. So like Katie Shinrock and Leslie Kawashima, mixing with guys like Adrian Garcia, David Shodman, and Dave Dreyfus. Maybe we'll get to know them later down the road, but for the most part it's just kind of for fun. So for purpose of our podcast, we'll still cover them for the purpose of just having that inclusiveness of being a part of OC Wiffleball and getting the word about their team out there as well. But you won't see as many games on the schedule with them because it's obviously just 4 teams. So we'll just kind of keep an eye on what that looks like, right? So the second game that we got in the Purple League, the Sheeps, who is affiliated with Anthony Grusa. That's kind of it looks like their fun team in there. We've got some names that are returning, like Nikki Shaver and Kenzie Riding, who are making a return in there, and Matt Hornich, who's also on that roster as well, which is maybe a little overpowered, I guess, but it's just for fun, right? And then they've got the Pancake Batters playing their second game, it looks like, in there. So you've got they're then playing the second game on the day. So the Sheeps and the Pancake Batters playing each other, and this one looked like it was actually close. So 6-5, the final score in this game.
Pretty close game. You have Matt still playing with Anthony here, involving guys like Nikki and Kenzie. John not there, but you have those four. I'm sure Nikki was pitching in there at some point. Actually, I can look at the stats and try to figure if she was. But yeah, I take it back. Actually, Kenzie was pitching in this game. I take it back. She pitched. It looks like this was a 4-inning game that they played. Anthony pitched 3 innings, and Kenzie did pitch 1 inning, allowed 3 runs with a strikeout in there, though. So pitching was looking good for Kenzie out there, from what it looks like. Still trying to figure these teams out. Not quite as serious, but just out there for fun. But yeah, we got a guy like Anthony out there. He's gonna hit. He had 3 home runs and a single as well. So Nikki hitting, getting a couple hits in there. Single and a home run for her. So we'll see what happens with these teams.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess Anthony wanted to make a team for the people who have been on his squad for a little bit. Obviously, Lauren Caruso is not making her return this season, so definitely will miss her presence here in OC Wiffleball. And obviously myself will miss talking about her and with the stats and everything like that. But glad to have Nikki and Kenzie back in the league. Obviously, we can talk about Kenzie all day. Bears fan. But the one team that we didn't talk about actually was Revenge of the Nerds, who, if I'm looking at this right, is run by the Westcliff softball head coach, Vanessa Kellums. We don't have the names on the roster yet. They have yet to play their first game, but it looks like this will be the team that we went out to do like a little demo for the softball team, and maybe having some of those softball players on the squad. So who knows? Maybe we'll see them next week, and then we can talk about them on the podcast a bit, show them a little bit of love, and see what their team looks like for the future. But yeah, I mean, everything looks good for week 1 stuff. It seemed like it was pretty clean for the most part. Obviously, the field's a little bit different because we're playing at Huntington Beach, not OC Parks, but we're going to be there for 2 more weeks, and then we'll head back to the OC Great Parks. And again, everybody who's at home this Sunday, make sure you guys are careful, and heads up about Hurricane Hillary. Steven, if you got any other thoughts about week 1, go ahead and share them before we kind of turn things around here.
No, good first week. We're figuring some stuff out there in terms of the field dimensions and things like that. Field was a little smaller than I thought it would be. Gonna get that sorted out for next week. I know there are some rumblings about that, but no, we're just getting ready. We're just getting started here. Got some events coming up. So I believe September 16th. You got the Big A series, so stuff's going to go out about that soon. Regarding who's going to be able to go and who's not. These are going to more open events. Before it was just teams like the LA Wiffles of OC and the MS Warriors were going out to this. And now it's being more open to anybody. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with this. But I think the first week was a good week, and I think we'll continue to see how this goes.
Yep, absolutely, and hopefully all the conditions are a-okay. The second time we're out there, with the rain coming in and what's happening with the weather at the very moment. But it is a little bit of a cramped field, a little bit. The fields kind of maybe overlapping with each other just a tiny bit, but it seemed like it was kind of clean for the most part, and we'll be glad to be back at the OC Great Parts once the 2 weeks fly by, and they will definitely fly by really fast. And then you've got a lot of new things coming this season, which we can talk about later on down the road once they get closer to those. And we've given a preview in the previous episode, so if you haven't seen some of that content in the previous episodes that we've talked about for the fall season that's coming up, make sure you go backtrack a little bit and check out those episodes, because we got a lot of really interesting topics that we talked about on there. And people, whoever is playing on Field 4, I believe we were playing on against the Beach City Bombers. Make sure you guys wear your sunglasses, because the sun is directly in your face. So, but
yeah, just I don't know how to respond to that. There wasn't really a question. There wasn't really a question there. You just did a statement.
I mean, in case you had some advice to give some of those people on maybe how how did I
buy sunglasses.
Buy sunglasses. Okay, there you go, guys. So you heard it from Steven. Buy sunglasses.
Or just get them from somewhere for free.
Yeah.
I don't know what advice you want there.
No, I think that was really good advice. I like it. Just buy some fucking sunglasses,
Oh man, we've cursed now. Okay, great.
But for the most part, I think that's just kind of everything that we've talked about. I think for the next episode, we'll talk about Steven and his group of guys heading up to the Upland tournament, and we'll get some discussion about how their experience was, and let's manifest a little bit. Hopefully, they manage to get a dub out of that tournament and come back home with a trophy, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about week 2 stuff.
It looks like there's going to be more teams there at this tournament than there were the most recent time. I've seen the Pharaohs are going to be back. We'll see who else is going to be back. Last time, SoCal Riptide won that Upland tournament, which involved guys like Dustin Staggs and Nathan Dodero, who are going to be playing with me. Which real time, we're recording this on a Friday, and so tomorrow is when we're going to be. Was when we're going to be playing in the tournament. So we'll see what happens. So we'll see what happens with that. Things, home for good things, especially hopefully be trying to get ready for that York tournament. We're less than 2 months away from when I'd be traveling out. Things just got finalized. We were on a wait list to try to make sure we can get get up to 40 teams. That officially happened yesterday. It happened on Wednesday. 2 days ago as we're recording this. So it looks like all the spaces are filled. We just have to get our final entry fee, and we'll be ready to go.
Epic. Well, we'll be cheering you guys on, obviously. Everybody who's a fan of this show, make sure you guys, go cheer on Steven and his group of guys that are heading out there. But if you haven't seen any other episodes, go ahead and check them out. The button's right below this screen that you're looking at. And then
thank you for Dustin for coming on. We appreciate him. Go check out the YouTube, the SoCal Wiffleball as well, their YouTube page. I haven't uploaded in a little bit, but there'll be more videos coming out. Next may be a special series. I'm not totally sure, but hopefully there will be something coming up soon. I'm sure Dustin would have explained it in the earlier parts. We'll see how much he reveals to us, but we appreciate Dustin coming on.
Absolutely. And if you've got a series that you're participating in, then we'll talk about it on this show in the future for the next episodes as well. So go check that out. Big thanks and appreciation to Dustin for being on the show. We always love to have different guys on here and talk about their wiffle ball experiences. If you don't follow OC Wiffleball's Instagram page yet, I don't know why you haven't, but go ahead and follow them right now. And then also, while you're at it, subscribe to this YouTube channel. Why not? Get all the updates about the new episodes and whatever vlogs come out on this channel as well. I'm trying to look to upload more in the future. And good luck to everybody in week 2, and we'll see you guys then and there. And make sure everybody keep it happy and clean, and be safe out there this Sunday. And we'll see you guys back on Tuesday, and we'll see you guys in the very next episode. This has been Justin Lee and Stephen Hayden signing off for now, and we will see you all later.
Go outside.